There's a point in everyone's life when we realize that not all people we meet have our best interests at heart. Some people lift us up, inspire us, and make us better versions of ourselves. Others, however, can tear us down without us even realizing it. What's worse is that these individuals often hide behind charming smiles, convincing words, and actions that seem harmless at first. By the time we recognize the harm they cause, the damage has already been done to our peace, confidence, and well-being. The great Stoic philosophers of the past believed that a significant part of living a good life is recognizing the people around us who disrupt our peace. They taught that life is too short to be wasted on those who poison our minds and hearts with negativity, deceit, and manipulation. In a world filled with challenges, the last thing anyone needs is to be pulled down by the wrong people. It's not just about avoiding unpleasant individuals. It's about protecting your inner peace, your mental clarity, and your emotional strength. You deserve to live a life filled with clarity and calmness. But too often, we allow certain people to rob us of that peace. They may appear supportive, but their words and actions slowly chip away at our confidence. Perhaps you've noticed how certain conversations leave you feeling drained, as if the life has been sucked right out of you. Or maybe, after spending time with some individuals, you find yourself feeling anxious, agitated, or even questioning your own worth. These feelings are not coincidences. They're signs, warning signals that someone is damaging your peace. In a world that constantly challenges your patience, your resilience, and your ability to stay grounded, the company you keep plays a crucial role. The wrong people can make your burdens feel heavier, your stress more intense, and your path to happiness far more difficult. It's important to recognize that we all have limited time and energy. The relationships you maintain should nurture you, not deplete you. The Stoics believed that peace of mind is the greatest wealth a person can possess, and one of the best ways to protect that wealth is to be mindful of the people we allow into our lives. Horrible people, the ones who manipulate, deceive, and harm without remorse, are everywhere. They can be found at work, in social circles, and sometimes even within our own families. They present themselves in many forms: as the co-worker who undermines your efforts, the friend who subtly belittles your achievements, or the relative who brings constant chaos into your life. It's easy to dismiss these individuals as difficult or challenging, but the truth is, they are far more dangerous than that. They have the power to derail your personal growth, damage your emotional health, and trap you in a cycle of negativity. If left unchecked, their toxic influence can seep into every corner of your life, leaving you feeling bitter, exhausted, and hopeless. This is why the Stoics emphasize the importance of discerning who deserves a place in your life and who doesn't. At some point, everyone encounters people who are more concerned with their own well-being than anyone else's. These people will take advantage of your kindness, manipulate your emotions, and leave you questioning yourself. They know how to play on your weaknesses and use your empathy against you. They may seem like they care, but beneath the surface, their intentions are anything but noble. But here's the empowering truth. You have the ability to spot these behaviors and protect yourself. You don't need to wait until the damage is done to recognize a horrible person. The signs are always there. You just need to learn how to see them. The Stoics understood human nature deeply, and they offered timeless wisdom on how to identify and distance yourself from those who threaten your tranquility. Let's take a moment to reflect on your own experiences. Have you ever felt that someone in your life drains you, even though they never seem to do anything outright harmful? Have you ever trusted someone only to realize later that they were manipulating you for their own gain? These aren't isolated incidents. People who operate this way are masters of subtlety. They often hide their harmful traits behind a facade of friendliness, charm, and even care. You might have told yourself that this person didn't mean it, or that it's just how they are. But deep down, you know when something isn't right. There's a difference between a friend who challenges you for your own good and one who undermines you out of insecurity or jealousy. The Stoics taught that our peace, our mental health, and our well-being are worth protecting at all costs. That means recognizing when someone's presence in your life does more harm than good. It's not about cutting people out of your life at the first sign of trouble. It's about becoming aware of patterns of behavior that repeatedly steal your energy, cause confusion, or make you doubt your own worth. The Stoics remind us that the company we keep shapes us. Just as associating with virtuous, wise individuals can uplift you, surrounding yourself with horrible, toxic people can lead you down a path of negativity and despair. We all have the power to choose who we allow into our inner circle. This isn't about arrogance or superiority. It's about self-respect and self-preservation. Life is challenging enough without letting toxic individuals make it harder. Stoicism provides us with the tools to identify these people and gives us the strength to walk away from them when necessary. Remember, walking away is not weakness, it is wisdom. Some people will never change. Their manipulation, dishonesty, and negativity are deeply ingrained in who they are. No amount of kindness or understanding will turn them into better people. The Stoics taught that we cannot control the behavior of others, but we can control our response to them. And the wisest response to a toxic person is often distance. It's about maintaining your integrity, your peace, and your well-being. Every day, you have a choice. You can choose to surround yourself with people who elevate you, who bring out the best in you, and who genuinely care about your happiness. Or you can continue allowing horrible people to disrupt your life, drain your energy, and cloud your mind. It's not always an easy decision, but it's one that you must make if you want to live a fulfilling life, free from unnecessary pain and conflict. This journey of identifying horrible people is not about creating divisions or holding grudges. It's about clarity. It's about seeing others for who they truly are and understanding the impact they have on your life. Stoicism teaches that peace is not something external to be found in perfect circumstances or ideal conditions. Peace is internal. It is something you cultivate by choosing how to respond to the world around you, including the people in it. By learning to spot toxic behaviors and distancing yourself from harmful individuals, you are taking a powerful step toward creating a life of harmony, balance, and emotional resilience. The journey begins here, with the wisdom of the Stoics as your guide. Embrace this wisdom, protect your peace, and never forget that you are deserving of relationships that uplift, support, and enrich your life. As we move forward, it's time to dive deeper into the lessons that ancient Stoics left behind, especially on how to protect ourselves from the harm that others can cause. You don't have to wait until it's too late to realize someone is damaging your life. The signs are often right there, in front of you, but without knowing what to look for, they can easily be missed. What follows now is not just a guide, it's a shield built on the wisdom of Stoicism to help you guard your peace against those who bring chaos into your life. Let's explore how you can spot these harmful individuals so you can choose wisely who to keep close. Some people hide their toxicity in subtle ways, but one thing is for sure, their presence leaves you feeling uneasy. Whether through words or actions, they always find a way to stir something negative within you. It's the uneasy feeling after a conversation or the tension that lingers after their visit. These are early signs of a deeper problem, and the Stoics were quick to point out that your peace is worth more than trying to figure out these emotional puzzles. Trust that instinct when it tells you someone is not good for your well-being. At the heart of every toxic individual lies manipulation. They are masters at twisting situations to suit their needs. What's dangerous about this trait is that it's not always obvious. They might present themselves as helpful, but their kindness comes with strings attached. You start to notice how you always end up doing things for them, even when it's not in your best interest. These are the people who bend situations to their favor, leaving you wondering how you got caught up in their plans. Recognizing this early will save you from their web of control. Their manipulation often goes hand in hand with deceit. Dishonesty is a clear mark of someone who cannot be trusted. They twist the truth, sometimes in small ways that seem insignificant at first, but lies compound. The Stoics taught that integrity is at the core of any meaningful relationship, and when someone repeatedly shows dishonesty, no matter how minor, it erodes the trust that forms the foundation of human connections. Lies, no matter how small, are like cracks in a wall. Ignore them, and they'll eventually bring the whole structure down. Another hallmark of a harmful person is their need for constant attention. Everything always seems to revolve around them. In every conversation, they find a way to bring the focus back to their struggles, their opinions, their life. This behavior reveals a deep self-centeredness, and while it may not always seem harmful on the surface, over time it becomes draining. There's no room for you to express yourself because they are always more important. This imbalance can slowly make you feel invisible and unheard. Those who thrive on conflict are also dangerous to your peace. Whether it's creating drama where none exists or feeding off existing tension, these individuals are disruptive forces in your life. They enjoy stirring up arguments, gossiping, or pitting people against each other. Conflict gives them a sense of power, and if you're not careful, you'll find yourself dragged into their storms. The Stoics believed in maintaining inner calm and avoiding unnecessary quarrels, but with these individuals, calmness is the last thing on their minds. Control is something that toxic people crave. They want to dictate how you should think, act, and feel. Sometimes it's subtle, an unsolicited piece of advice here, a comment on how you should live your life there. Other times, it's more overt, like trying to tell you who you should or shouldn't spend time with. This desire to control isn't about caring for you. It's about satisfying their own need for dominance. The Stoics valued personal autonomy, and anyone who tries to strip that away from you is not someone you should keep close. Envy is another trait that defines a horrible person. They are never happy for the successes of others, especially yours. Instead of celebrating your achievements, they may downplay them, dismiss them, or even feel threatened by them. Envy reveals a deeper insecurity within them, and their inability to be genuinely happy for others is a red flag. The Stoics warned against the dangers of envy because it breeds resentment and unhappiness, poisoning not only the envious person, but everyone around them. These people also have a way of making you feel guilty for things that are not your fault. They use guilt as a weapon to control you, to make you feel as though you owe them something. Whether it's making you feel bad for setting boundaries or for not doing what they want, guilt is their tool of manipulation. Stoicism teaches that guilt, when unwarranted, is a burden you should never carry. When you start noticing someone using guilt to influence your actions, it's a clear sign they are not good for your well-being. Another toxic behavior is the inability to respect your boundaries. Horrible people often push past your limits, whether it's demanding more of your time, energy, or resources than you can give. They expect you to always be available for them, regardless of your own needs or circumstances. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of boundaries, of knowing where your responsibility ends and another's begins. Those who cannot respect your boundaries are, in essence, disrespecting you. These people often thrive on negativity. They always have something bad to say, whether it's about others, the world, or life in general. Their negative energy is infectious, and over time, it starts to affect your own outlook. Stoicism teaches that we should focus on the things within our control, and one of those things is the company we keep. By surrounding yourself with negative people, you allow their pessimism to seep into your own life, robbing you of the ability to stay positive and hopeful. One of the more subtle ways toxic individuals reveal themselves is through backhanded compliments. They may appear to praise you, but there's always a sting hidden in their words. These comments leave you feeling confused. Was it a compliment, or was it an insult? This passive-aggressive behavior is a way for them to undermine your confidence while appearing supportive on the surface. The Stoics valued honesty in speech, and anyone who engages in this kind of behavior is not being genuine. Emotionally unstable people are also dangerous. Their moods swing wildly, and you never know what to expect. One day they're your best friend, and the next they're cold and distant. This unpredictability keeps you on edge, never knowing when the next outburst will come. Stoicism teaches us to remain steady in the face of life's ups and downs, but emotionally unstable individuals make that difficult. They drag you into their emotional chaos, leaving you feeling drained and anxious. Gaslighting is another tool in the arsenal of horrible people. They make you doubt your reality, convincing you that what you experienced didn't actually happen, or that your feelings are invalid. This kind of manipulation is particularly harmful because it erodes your sense of self. Stoicism teaches that your perception of the world is yours alone and should not be controlled by others. When someone tries to manipulate your understanding of reality, it's time to distance yourself. These people often thrive in environments where they can dominate. Whether it's at work, within social circles, or even in relationships, they seek to control the narrative, ensuring that they come out on top. They might downplay your successes or take credit for your ideas, always positioning themselves as the one in charge. The Stoics believed that true leadership comes from humility and service to others, not from a desire for dominance. Recognizing this need for control can help you avoid getting caught in their power games. Another common behavior is deflection. When confronted with their own mistakes or wrongdoings, they will quickly shift the blame onto others. They refuse to take responsibility, instead making you feel as though you are the one at fault. This lack of accountability is a sign of deep immaturity and selfishness. The Stoics believed in taking full responsibility for one's actions, and those who cannot do so are dangerous to your peace. There's also a pattern of people who only show up when they need something from you. They're never around during your tough times, but as soon as they need help, they're quick to call. This kind of one-sided relationship is draining and unfair. Stoicism teaches that relationships should be built on mutual respect and support, not on one person constantly taking from the other. These individuals often project their insecurities onto you. If they feel inadequate in some area of their life, they will try to make you feel the same way. It's a way for them to make themselves feel better by bringing others down. The Stoics believed in cultivating self-awareness and personal growth, but toxic people are too focused on their own insecurities to allow for growth. Instead, they try to keep others at their level, preventing you from reaching your full potential. Horrible people also have a way of making you feel small, whether it's through subtle comments, dismissive gestures, or outright insults. They aim to chip away at your self-esteem. They do this because they feel threatened by your potential, and the only way they can maintain control is by keeping you down. The Stoics taught that true confidence comes from within, and anyone who seeks to undermine that is not someone you need in your life. In conversations, they often interrupt or talk over you, showing a clear disregard for your thoughts and opinions. This lack of respect is a sign of their belief that they are more important than you. Stoicism values the exchange of ideas and mutual respect, and when someone repeatedly shuts you down in conversations, it's a sign they don't value what you have to say. A toxic person will often play the victim. No matter what happens, they are always the one who has been wronged, and they expect you to feel sorry for them. This manipulation tactic is designed to make you feel guilty and to ensure that you continue to cater to their needs. Stoicism teaches that we are responsible for how we react to the events in our lives, and those who refuse to take responsibility for their own happiness are not living according to these principles. These people also have a habit of isolating you from others. They might discourage you from spending time with certain friends or family members, subtly implying that they are the only ones who truly care about you. This isolation gives them more control over you and leaves you without the support of others. Stoicism teaches that community and relationships are vital to a good life, and anyone who tries to sever those connections is not acting in your best interest. In many cases, toxic individuals will test your boundaries early on to see how much they can get away with. They may ask for small favors, push for more time or energy than you're comfortable giving, and see how you respond. If you don't push back, they will continue to take more and more. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of setting and maintaining boundaries to protect your peace, and anyone who continually tests those boundaries is not someone who respects you. When you achieve success, horrible people will often downplay it or dismiss it entirely. Instead of celebrating with you, they may make comments like, "It's not that big of a deal," or "Anyone could have done that." This behavior stems from their own insecurity and jealousy. The Stoics believed in finding joy in the successes of others, and those who cannot do so are caught in their own misery. These individuals often lack empathy. They are incapable of putting themselves in your shoes and understanding how their actions affect you. This lack of empathy makes it easy for them to hurt others without feeling remorse. Stoicism teaches that empathy is key to maintaining harmonious relationships, and those who lack it are unable to form meaningful connections. Another tactic they use is triangulation, where they involve a third person in your conflicts to make you feel isolated and outnumbered. This strategy is designed to create confusion and make you doubt yourself. The Stoics valued clarity and simplicity in relationships, and triangulation is a clear violation of those principles. Horrible people also have a tendency to be passive-aggressive. Instead of addressing issues directly, they express their frustrations through backhanded comments, sarcasm, or silent treatment. This indirect form of communication is designed to create tension without offering a resolution. Stoicism teaches that open and honest communication is the key to resolving conflicts, and passive aggression is the opposite of that. They also tend to be incredibly defensive. Any criticism, no matter how constructive, is met with anger, denial, or excuses. This defensiveness makes it impossible to have a productive conversation with them about their behavior. The Stoics believed in embracing criticism as a tool for personal growth, and those who are unable to accept it are hindering their own development. You may also notice that horrible people are often unreliable. They make promises they don't keep, show up late, or cancel plans at the last minute. This lack of reliability is a sign that they do not value your time or your relationship. Stoicism teaches that we should honor our commitments, and those who fail to do so repeatedly are not acting with integrity. Their negativity extends to their worldview as well. They often see the worst in everything and everyone, constantly focusing on what's wrong rather than what's right. This pessimism is contagious and can quickly bring down your own mood. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control and to maintain a positive outlook, even in challenging times. Surrounding yourself with negative people makes it harder to live according to these principles. Another behavior to watch for is their tendency to use your vulnerabilities against you. They remember the things you've shared with them in moments of trust, and they bring them up later to hurt you or gain the upper hand in an argument. This betrayal of trust is a clear sign of a toxic person. The Stoics believed in building relationships on trust and mutual respect, and anyone who violates that trust is not worthy of your time or energy. These people often refuse to acknowledge your feelings. When you express how something made you feel, they dismiss it or tell you that you're overreacting. This lack of emotional validation is a form of manipulation designed to make you question your own emotions. Stoicism teaches that our emotions are valid and deserve to be acknowledged, and those who refuse to do so are not acting in good faith. Horrible people also have a tendency to hold grudges. Instead of resolving conflicts and moving forward, they hold on to past wrongs and bring them up whenever it benefits them. This inability to forgive and move on is a sign of immaturity and bitterness. The Stoics believed in letting go of the past and focusing on the present, and those who cling to grudges are unable to live in harmony with that principle. You may also notice that they thrive on chaos. Whether it's in their personal life or in their relationships, there is always some sort of crisis or drama unfolding. They seem to be constantly surrounded by conflict, and they often bring that chaos into your life as well. The Stoics valued order and calm, and those who thrive on chaos are disruptive to that way of life. One of the most telling signs of a horrible person is their refusal to accept help. Even when they clearly need assistance, they will reject it out of pride or stubbornness. This refusal to accept help is often a sign of deeper issues with control and vulnerability. The Stoics believed in the importance of community and mutual support, and those who refuse help are rejecting the very foundation of meaningful relationships. Finally, horrible people often lack gratitude. They take the good things in their life for granted and are never truly satisfied with what they have. This lack of appreciation extends to their relationships as well, as they fail to show gratitude for the people who care for them. Stoicism teaches that gratitude is key to a fulfilling life, and those who lack it are incapable of finding true happiness. Each of these behaviors is a red flag, a sign that someone in your life is not acting in your best interest. The Stoics believed that our relationships should bring us peace, support, and growth. When someone consistently displays these harmful traits, it's time to step back and protect your peace. Your well-being depends on the company you keep, and by identifying these toxic behaviors, you can ensure that you surround yourself with people who uplift and inspire you. As we leave behind the toxic traits that people carry, it's crucial to understand the deeper reasons why the Stoics were so adamant about distancing ourselves from those who drain us emotionally. We've touched on manipulation, dishonesty, and other harmful behaviors, but now it's time to focus on something more insidious: negativity and judgment. Stoic wisdom teaches that the company we keep has a profound effect on our mental state, and if that company is filled with negativity, it slowly chips away at our peace. What follows will explain why Stoicism warns us so strongly against associating with negative, judgmental people, and how to protect ourselves from the damage they cause. Negativity is like a fog that clouds every situation. The people who constantly see the worst in everything carry that fog with them, and before long, it seeps into your own perspective. They have an incredible ability to turn hope into doubt, success into failure, and peace into discomfort. This effect isn't always immediate, but over time, it builds. Being around someone who always focuses on what's wrong can slowly drain your spirit, pulling you into their bleak worldview. The Stoics remind us to stay grounded in reality, But when surrounded by negativity, reality itself starts to feel darker than it actually is. Judgmental individuals are no better. Their constant criticism not only affects how they view others, but also how they make you view yourself. When someone is always pointing out the flaws in others, it's easy to internalize their judgments. Even if those criticisms aren't directed at you, they create an atmosphere of hostility and self-doubt. Stoicism encourages self-reflection and personal growth, but judgmental people stifle that by making you question every move you make. Their harsh words become the inner voice that questions your worth. Negative people are not just passive observers of life, they actively seek out what's wrong in the world and in others. When you surround yourself with these individuals, you start to carry the same burden. It becomes harder to find joy, harder to be optimistic, and harder to see the potential in situations. Their constant complaints become the soundtrack of your life, and it becomes difficult to hear anything else. Stoicism teaches that we should focus on what we can control, but negative people distract us from that, pulling our focus to everything outside our control, to everything that could go wrong. Judgment comes with an air of superiority. People who judge others harshly often see themselves as being above those they criticize. This false sense of superiority can rub off on you. You might start adopting their mindset, finding flaws in others instead of focusing on your own growth. This is a dangerous path to walk because it distances you from empathy and understanding, core values that the Stoics held dear. By allowing judgmental people to influence you, you risk losing sight of what really matters: compassion, humility, and the pursuit of wisdom. Negativity also has a contagious effect. It's easy to get pulled into a cycle of pessimism when you're constantly exposed to it. Someone else's bad mood, complaints, and hopeless outlook can transfer to you without you even realizing it. Before long, you find yourself echoing their thoughts, focusing on the negative aspects of your own life, even if things were going well before. This is why the Stoics emphasized the importance of guarding your mind. Letting negativity take root in your thoughts can destroy the peace you've worked so hard to build. Judgmental people have a unique way of draining your energy. It's exhausting to be around someone who is constantly criticizing others or finding fault in every situation. You end up walking on eggshells, trying not to trigger their next complaint or judgment. Stoicism teaches us to maintain our emotional energy, to not be swept away by things outside our control. But judgmental people are experts at pulling you into their vortex, making you question not just others, but yourself as well. Negativity can distort your perception of the world. Instead of seeing challenges as opportunities, you begin to see them as obstacles too big to overcome. When you're constantly surrounded by complaints and pessimism, it's difficult to maintain the Stoic mindset of resilience and adaptability. Your mind becomes clouded, and soon even the smallest setbacks feel insurmountable. This is why Stoics were so insistent on avoiding negative individuals. They hinder your ability to respond rationally and calmly to life's difficulties. The longer you spend in the company of negative, judgmental people, the more you start to internalize their worldview. Their doubts become your doubts, their fears your fears. What once felt like a strong sense of self gets chipped away, piece by piece, until you no longer recognize your own thoughts. Stoicism calls us to stand firm in our principles, to trust our own judgment and not be swayed by the opinions of others. But judgmental people make that nearly impossible, constantly forcing their opinions onto you until they overshadow your own. One of the most damaging aspects of associating with negative people is how they undermine your sense of possibility. The Stoics believed in focusing on what we can control and striving to better ourselves in every situation. Negative people do the opposite. They constantly remind you of the barriers, the limitations, and the impossibility of change. Over time, this mindset can rob you of your drive to improve, your hope for the future, and your belief in your own potential. Judgmental individuals often create an environment of competition and comparison. They measure themselves, and everyone else, by impossible standards. When you spend time with people like this, you start to feel like you're never enough. The Stoics taught that self-worth comes from within, not from how you compare to others. But judgmental people make it hard to keep that perspective, constantly shifting your focus to external validation and shallow measures of success. Negativity often disguises itself as realism. Negative people will tell you they're just being real or practical, but in reality, they're masking their pessimism as wisdom. The Stoics, however, drew a clear line between being realistic and being negative. They acknowledged life's challenges, but refused to dwell on them or let them define their outlook. Negative people, on the other hand, thrive in a world of what can't be done, what won't work, and what will inevitably go wrong. Being around judgmental people leads to a constant feeling of being evaluated. Their gaze is always critical, always searching for something to critique. This creates a sense of pressure to meet their standards, to constantly prove yourself worthy in their eyes. But Stoicism teaches that we should live according to our own principles, not the fleeting judgments of others. Allowing judgmental people into your life makes it difficult to stay true to yourself, as their criticisms start to shape your decisions. The energy it takes to deal with negative people is energy that could be spent on your own growth. Every moment you spend trying to lift their spirits or defend yourself against their judgments is a moment taken away from your own journey toward peace and wisdom. Stoicism reminds us that our energy is finite, and we should be mindful of how we use it. Negative and judgmental people drain that energy, leaving little for the things that truly matter. Judgmental people also have a way of sowing seeds of doubt in your mind. Their constant critiques can make you question your own decisions, even when you were once confident in them. The Stoics believed in trusting your own judgment, in making decisions based on reason and virtue. But when you're surrounded by judgmental voices, it becomes harder to hear your own. Their doubts become your doubts, and soon you're second-guessing even the simplest choices. Negative people often have a way of exaggerating problems. What might be a small inconvenience to someone else becomes a major disaster in their eyes. This constant magnification of problems makes life feel heavier, more stressful, and more complicated than it needs to be. The Stoics believed in keeping things simple, in focusing on solutions rather than dwelling on problems. But negative people do the opposite, making every issue feel like an unsolvable crisis. Judgmental individuals are often rigid in their thinking. They see the world in black and white, with little room for nuance or understanding. This inflexibility can make it difficult to have meaningful conversations or resolve conflicts with them. The Stoics valued open-mindedness and adaptability, recognizing that life is full of complexities. But judgmental people are stuck in their narrow perspectives, unwilling to consider other viewpoints. One of the most insidious effects of negativity is how it affects your ability to enjoy life's simple pleasures. When you're constantly exposed to complaints, criticism, and pessimism, even moments of joy can feel tainted. It becomes harder to appreciate the good things in life when someone is always pointing out what's wrong. The Stoics taught that happiness comes from appreciating what we have, from being content with the present moment. But negative people make it hard to hold on to that contentment. Judgmental people often hold others to impossible standards, standards that they themselves can never meet. This hypocrisy is frustrating to deal with because they rarely see their own flaws. The Stoics believed in self-reflection and humility, in recognizing our own imperfections before criticizing others. But judgmental people lack this self-awareness, making it difficult to engage with them in any meaningful way. Negativity has a way of creeping into your mindset, even when you try to resist it. The more time you spend with negative people, the more their worldview starts to shape your own. It becomes harder to stay optimistic, harder to maintain hope, and harder to find joy in the everyday moments of life. Stoicism teaches that we should cultivate a positive outlook, focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we cannot. But negative people challenge that mindset, making it difficult to stay grounded in optimism. Judgmental individuals thrive on creating a sense of division. They separate people into categories, those who meet their standards and those who don't. This creates an atmosphere of exclusion where only a select few are deemed worthy of their approval. The Stoics believed in unity and common humanity, in recognizing that we are all connected. But judgmental people create barriers, dividing rather than bringing people together. Negative people are often resistant to change. They see every new opportunity as a potential threat, every shift as something to be feared. This resistance to change can hold you back from growth and progress, as their fear becomes your own. Stoicism teaches that change is a natural part of life, something to be embraced rather than feared. But negative people resist that, clinging to the familiar even when it no longer serves them. Judgmental people also tend to be unforgiving. They hold on to past mistakes, both their own and others, and refuse to let go. This creates a sense of tension and unresolved conflict, making it difficult to move forward in relationships. The Stoics believed in the power of forgiveness, in letting go of past grievances in order to find peace. But judgmental people are stuck in the past, unable to move beyond their criticisms. One of the more subtle ways negative people affect you is through their constant pessimism about the future. They always expect the worst, and over time you start to share that expectation. The Stoics taught that we should prepare for adversity, but not live in fear of it. Negative people, however, live in constant fear, and their anxiety about the future becomes contagious. Judgmental individuals also tend to lack empathy. They are quick to judge, but slow to understand the reasons behind someone's actions. This lack of empathy creates a cold and distant atmosphere, making it difficult to connect with them on a deeper level. The Stoics believed in compassion and understanding, in seeing things from another's perspective. But judgmental people are incapable of that, leaving little room for genuine connection. Negative people often have a way of turning even good news into something bad. No matter how positive a situation may seem, they will find a way to focus on the downside. This constant focus on the negative makes it difficult to celebrate wins or enjoy successes. The Stoics taught that we should celebrate the good in life, no matter how small. But negative people rob you of that joy, always finding a way to bring you back down. Judgmental individuals also tend to be impatient. They expect perfection from others and have little tolerance for mistakes. This creates a stressful environment where you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, trying to meet their impossible standards. The Stoics believed in patience and understanding, in allowing room for error as a natural part of life. But judgmental people demand perfection, making it impossible to feel at ease around them. Negative people often dismiss optimism as naivete. They see hope as unrealistic and positivity as a weakness. This dismissive attitude makes it difficult to maintain your own positive outlook, as they constantly undermine it with their pessimism. The Stoics believed in the power of optimism, in maintaining hope even in the face of adversity. But negative people challenge that, making it harder to hold on to your own sense of hope. Judgmental individuals are also quick to gossip. They thrive on discussing the flaws and mistakes of others, spreading negativity wherever they go. This behavior creates a toxic atmosphere where no one feels safe from their criticism. The Stoics believed in speaking with purpose and integrity, in avoiding harmful gossip. But judgmental people make it difficult to maintain that principle, as they constantly pull you into their cycle of criticism. Negative people also have a way of diminishing your achievements. No matter how hard you've worked or how far you've come, they will find a way to downplay your success. This constant belittling makes it difficult to feel proud of your accomplishments, as their negativity overshadows your achievements. The Stoics taught that we should find pride in our efforts, regardless of external validation. But negative people make it hard to hold on to that pride. Judgmental individuals often lack self-awareness. They are quick to point out the flaws in others, but rarely take the time to reflect on their own behavior. This lack of self-awareness creates a one-sided dynamic, where they are always right and everyone else is wrong. The Stoics believed in constant self-reflection and personal growth, in acknowledging our own flaws before criticizing others. But judgmental people are incapable of that, making it difficult to engage with them in a meaningful way. Negative people are often unwilling to try new things. They are set in their ways and resistant to anything that challenges their worldview. This stubbornness limits their ability to grow and adapt, and it can hold you back as well if you're constantly exposed to it. The Stoics believed in embracing new experiences and opportunities for growth, but negative people resist that, creating a stagnant environment that hinders progress. Judgmental individuals often make you feel like you're constantly being watched. Their critical gaze is always on you, evaluating your every move. This creates a sense of pressure to perform, to meet their expectations, even when those expectations are unreasonable. The Stoics taught that we should live according to our own values, not the judgments of others. But judgmental people make it difficult to do so, as their constant evaluations weigh heavily on your mind. Negative people often have a way of turning small problems into major crises. They blow things out of proportion, making every issue seem larger and more difficult than it really is. This creates a sense of overwhelm as you start to see every challenge as insurmountable. The Stoics believed in keeping things in perspective, in not allowing small problems to disrupt your peace. But negative people make that difficult, as their constant catastrophizing clouds your ability to stay calm. Judgmental individuals often lack flexibility. They are set in their ways and unwilling to consider other perspectives or approaches. This rigidity makes it difficult to find common ground or resolve conflicts with them. The Stoics believed in adaptability, in being open to change and new ideas. But judgmental people resist that, creating an environment of stubbornness and conflict. Negative people also have a tendency to focus on what's missing rather than what's present. They are always looking for what they don't have, what they haven't achieved, and what's lacking in their lives. This constant focus on scarcity makes it difficult to feel content, even when things are going well. The Stoics taught that contentment comes from appreciating what we have, not from dwelling on what we lack. But negative people make it hard to hold on to that sense of gratitude. Judgmental individuals also tend to be critical of things they don't understand. Instead of trying to learn or gain a new perspective, they dismiss anything that doesn't fit into their narrow worldview. This lack of curiosity creates a sense of limitation, as they refuse to expand their understanding or consider new ideas. The Stoics believed in the importance of learning and growth, in being open to new experiences and knowledge. But judgmental people reject that, creating an environment of stagnation. Negative people often have a way of making you feel like you're always falling short. No matter how much you accomplish or how hard you work, it's never enough for them. This constant sense of inadequacy weighs on you, making it difficult to feel proud of your efforts. The Stoics taught that we should find fulfillment in our own progress, not in the approval of others. But negative people make it hard to hold on to that fulfillment, as their constant criticism undermines your sense of accomplishment. Judgmental individuals also tend to be unforgiving of mistakes, both their own and others. They hold on to past wrongs and refuse to let go, creating an atmosphere of tension and unresolved conflict. The Stoics believed in the power of forgiveness, in letting go of past grievances in order to find peace. But judgmental people are stuck in the past, unable to move beyond their criticisms and grudges. Negative people also have a tendency to focus on the worst-case scenario. They are always imagining the worst possible outcome, even when there's no reason to believe things will go wrong. This constant focus on potential disaster makes it difficult to stay optimistic or hopeful. The Stoics taught that we should prepare for adversity, but not live in fear of it. But negative people live in a constant state of fear, and their anxiety about the future becomes contagious. Judgmental individuals often have a way of creating distance between themselves and others. Their constant criticism and lack of empathy make it difficult to form genuine connections. Over time, this distance creates a sense of isolation as they push people away with their harsh judgments. The Stoics believed in the importance of community and connection, in building relationships based on mutual respect and understanding. But judgmental people make that difficult, as their constant evaluations and criticisms create barriers instead of bridges. Negative people also have a way of draining your energy. Their constant complaints, pessimism, and focus on what's wrong make it difficult to stay energized or motivated. Over time, their negativity becomes exhausting, leaving you feeling depleted and worn out. The Stoics taught that we should guard our energy, focusing it on things that bring us peace and fulfillment. But negative people drain that energy, leaving little for the things that truly matter. Each of these behaviors, whether rooted in negativity or judgment, has a profound impact on your mental and emotional well-being. The Stoics understood that the people we surround ourselves with shape our perspective, our mindset, and our sense of peace. By allowing negative and judgmental individuals into your life, you risk losing the calm and clarity that Stoicism encourages. The solution is clear. Distance yourself from these harmful influences and protect the peace you've worked so hard to cultivate. Having explored how negative and judgmental individuals drain your energy and disturb your inner peace, we now turn to another kind of threat that Stoicism warns us about: those who manipulate. Manipulative people can often disguise themselves as friends, appearing kind and supportive, but behind that facade lies their true intent: control. This next section delves into the subtle ways these people operate, using your emotions, trust, and kindness against you. It's crucial to learn how to identify these manipulative behaviors early, so you can protect your well-being before their influence takes root. Let's explore how you can spot manipulation and defend yourself using Stoic wisdom. Manipulative people often present themselves as the ultimate friend, always there to offer advice or lend a hand, but beneath their generosity lies an agenda. Their help isn't freely given, it comes with expectations. Whether it's through favors, emotional support, or even financial assistance, they create a sense of debt that leaves you feeling obligated to return the favor, even when it goes against your own interests. Stoicism teaches that true friendship is based on mutual respect and freedom, not on obligations or hidden motives. When someone offers help, only to remind you of it later, it's a sign that their intentions were never genuine. A manipulator's greatest weapon is emotional influence. They are skilled at playing with your feelings to get what they want, often making you feel guilty for not doing things their way. If you ever find yourself feeling pressured to act out of guilt rather than your own will, it's likely that you're dealing with manipulation. The Stoics remind us that our emotions are within our control, and anyone who tries to manipulate those emotions is trying to control more than they should. Manipulative people use this tactic to weaken your resolve, making it harder to stand firm in your decisions. One of the clearest signs of manipulation is inconsistency. A manipulator may switch between being overly friendly and distant, depending on what serves their agenda. One day they're showering you with praise, and the next they're cold and unresponsive. This roller coaster of behavior keeps you off balance, making you more likely to seek their approval. Stoicism values emotional stability, both within yourself and in your relationships. When someone's behavior constantly fluctuates without clear reason, it's a sign that they're trying to control how you perceive them and how you respond. Manipulators also have a way of using your vulnerabilities against you. They listen carefully to your fears, insecurities, and struggles, but instead of offering genuine support, they store that information to use later. When it suits their needs, they subtly remind you of your weaknesses, planting seeds of doubt that make you more dependent on their guidance. Stoicism teaches us to embrace our flaws with honesty and to grow from them, not to allow others to exploit them for their gain. If someone uses your past or your fears to influence your decisions, they are manipulating you. Another common tactic manipulators use is creating false urgency. They often present situations as emergencies, demanding immediate action from you, even when there's no real need for it. This sense of urgency is designed to prevent you from thinking things through or making decisions based on reason. The Stoics emphasize the importance of rational decision-making, of taking time to reflect before acting. When someone pushes you to act hastily, it's often because they don't want you to see the full picture. Manipulators often disguise their demands as concern. They may say they're just looking out for you, but in reality, they're trying to steer you in a direction that benefits them. They might frame their requests as being in your best interest, but the truth is, it's their interests they're protecting. Stoicism teaches us to look beyond the surface of words and actions, to seek out the truth hidden beneath appearances. When someone's concern consistently leads you away from your own goals or needs, it's likely manipulation at play. One of the subtler forms of manipulation is flattery. While compliments are a natural part of healthy relationships, manipulators use them strategically. They flatter you not because they genuinely admire you, but because they know it will make you more susceptible to their influence. This false praise is meant to lower your defenses, making you more likely to agree to their requests or overlook their questionable behavior. Stoicism reminds us to be wary of external validation, to seek approval from within rather than relying on others' opinions. When flattery feels excessive or insincere, it's often a tool of manipulation. Manipulators are also skilled at shifting blame. Whenever something goes wrong, they deflect responsibility onto others, often onto you. This tactic keeps them in control by making you feel at fault, even when you've done nothing wrong. They want you to believe that their mistakes are yours, that their failures are a reflection of your actions. Stoicism teaches us to take responsibility for our own choices and actions, but also to recognize when others are unfairly placing their burdens on us. If you frequently feel like you're being blamed for things outside your control, you're likely being manipulated. Another way manipulators operate is through isolation. They may subtly encourage you to distance yourself from other friends or family, creating an environment where they are your primary source of support. This isolation makes it easier for them to control your thoughts and actions because they know you have fewer people to turn to for a second opinion. The Stoics valued community and the wisdom that comes from surrounding yourself with a variety of perspectives. When someone tries to limit your connections, it's often because they don't want you to see the truth of their intentions. Manipulators also use confusion to maintain control. They may give you conflicting information or change their story repeatedly, making it difficult for you to understand what's really going on. This tactic keeps you off balance, unsure of what to believe or how to act. The Stoics emphasized clarity of mind, the importance of seeing things as they truly are. When someone's words and actions create more confusion than clarity, it's a sign they're manipulating the situation for their benefit. Gaslighting is one of the most harmful forms of manipulation. This involves making you doubt your own perceptions, memories, or feelings. A manipulator will deny things they've said or done, making you question your sanity. Over time, this erodes your confidence and sense of reality, making you more reliant on their version of events. Stoicism teaches that our perceptions are our own, and we should trust them rather than allow others to distort them. If someone consistently makes you feel like you can't trust your own mind, they are manipulating you. Manipulative people often play the victim to gain sympathy and control. They may exaggerate their own struggles or hardships to make you feel guilty for not helping them. This tactic preys on your empathy, making you feel responsible for their well-being. Stoicism teaches that while we should be compassionate, we are not responsible for solving others' problems at the expense of our own peace. When someone frequently positions themselves as the victim in every situation, it's a sign they're trying to manipulate your emotions. Another common tactic is selective kindness. Manipulators will be incredibly generous and thoughtful at times, but only when it serves their purpose. This intermittent kindness keeps you hooked, making you believe that they're a good person despite their manipulative behavior. Stoicism teaches us to look at patterns, not isolated actions, when evaluating someone's character. If someone's kindness feels calculated rather than genuine, it's likely a form of manipulation designed to keep you in their control. Manipulators also thrive on creating conflict. They may stir up drama between you and others, all while positioning themselves as the mediator or peacemaker. This creates a sense of dependency as you start to rely on them to resolve the very conflicts they created. The Stoics valued harmony and peaceful relationships, and anyone who consistently brings chaos into your life is working against those principles. If someone always seems to be at the center of conflict, it's likely because they're using it to manipulate the dynamics of your relationships. One of the most damaging forms of manipulation is when someone undermines your confidence. They may do this subtly, through backhanded compliments, or by questioning your decisions. Over time, this erosion of confidence makes you more reliant on their guidance as you start to doubt your own abilities. Stoicism teaches that confidence comes from self-knowledge and inner strength, not from the approval of others. When someone constantly makes you feel unsure of yourself, it's a sign that they're manipulating your sense of self-worth. Manipulators are also skilled at making you feel like your boundaries are unreasonable. They may push against your limits, testing how far they can go, and when you try to assert yourself, they make you feel guilty or selfish. This constant pushing of boundaries is a clear sign of manipulation, as they are trying to control how much you give and how much they can take. Stoicism teaches the importance of maintaining firm boundaries to protect your peace. When someone tries to make you feel bad for setting boundaries, they are manipulating you. Another tactic is the use of ambiguity. Manipulators rarely give you clear answers or commitments, keeping you in a state of uncertainty. This ambiguity prevents you from making informed decisions and keeps you dependent on them for direction. The Stoics valued clarity and decisiveness, believing that uncertainty breeds confusion and anxiety. When someone consistently avoids giving you clear answers, it's likely because they want to keep you in a state of uncertainty where they can maintain control. Manipulative people often use charm to disarm you. They may be incredibly charismatic, making it difficult to see their true intentions. Their charm can make you overlook red flags as you become blinded by their likability. The Stoics teach that charm is often superficial and should not be mistaken for true character. When someone's charm seems to mask deeper issues, it's a sign that they're using it as a tool for manipulation. Another form of manipulation is withholding information. Manipulators will often keep you in the dark about important details, knowing that your lack of knowledge gives them power over you. By controlling the flow of information, they can influence your decisions without you even realizing it. Stoicism teaches the importance of knowledge and understanding in making wise choices. When someone withholds information from you, it's a clear sign that they're trying to manipulate the situation to their advantage. Manipulators also use triangulation, a tactic where they involve a third person in your relationship to create tension or competition. This can make you feel like you're constantly being compared to others or that you have to fight for their approval. The Stoics valued simplicity and directness in relationships, and anyone who complicates matters by involving others is likely trying to manipulate your emotions and behavior. Another sign of manipulation is when someone makes you feel like you're the only one who can help them. They may present their problems as so unique or difficult that no one else could possibly understand or offer assistance. This creates a sense of obligation, making you feel responsible for their well-being. Stoicism teaches that while we should be compassionate, we are not responsible for solving others' problems at the expense of our own peace. When someone makes you feel like their savior, it's often a form of manipulation designed to keep you tethered to them. Manipulators often use promises of future rewards to keep you engaged. They may talk about all the great things they'll do for you in the future, but those promises rarely materialize. This tactic keeps you hopeful and invested in the relationship, even when it's not serving your needs. The Stoics emphasized living in the present and not being swayed by promises of future gain. When someone's actions don't match their promises, it's a sign that they're using those promises to manipulate you. Another tactic is feigned helplessness. Manipulators may pretend to be incapable of handling certain tasks or responsibilities, forcing you to step in and take over. This creates a dynamic where you are constantly doing things for them, even when they're perfectly capable of doing them themselves. Stoicism teaches that we should take responsibility for our own lives, and anyone who refuses to do so is trying to shift that responsibility onto you. Manipulative people also use scarcity as a tool. They may withhold their time, affection, or attention, making you feel like you have to earn it. This creates a sense of insecurity as you start to believe that you must constantly prove yourself to gain their approval. Stoicism teaches that true relationships are based on mutual respect and generosity, not on making the other person feel like they have to fight for your affection. Manipulators are also experts at making you feel like you're overreacting. When you try to address their behavior, they may dismiss your concerns, telling you that you're being too sensitive or dramatic. This gaslighting tactic makes you question your own emotions and instincts, leaving you unsure of whether your feelings are valid. Stoicism teaches that our emotions are real and should not be dismissed or minimized. When someone consistently makes you feel like your reactions are unreasonable, they are manipulating you. Another sign of manipulation is when someone tries to control your time. They may demand your attention or presence at inconvenient times, leaving you feeling guilty for prioritizing your own needs or responsibilities. This constant intrusion into your schedule is a way of controlling how much time and energy you can devote to other areas of your life. The Stoics valued balance and the careful management of time, recognizing that our time is one of the most precious resources we have. When someone consistently monopolizes your time, it's a sign they're trying to control your life. Manipulative people also use comparison to undermine your confidence. They may compare you to others, subtly suggesting that you're not as good, successful, or valuable as someone else. This tactic is designed to make you feel inadequate, keeping you in a state of insecurity. The Stoics teach that comparison is the enemy of contentment, and anyone who constantly compares you to others is working against your sense of self-worth. Another tactic is emotional blackmail. Manipulators will use threats of withdrawal, rejection, or anger to get what they want. They may say things like, "If you really cared about me, you would do this," or "If you don't help me, I'll never forgive you." This kind of emotional manipulation preys on your fear of losing the relationship, making you feel like you have no choice but to comply. Stoicism teaches that true relationships are built on mutual respect, not on fear or coercion. When someone uses emotional blackmail, they are manipulating your fear of loss to control your actions. Manipulators often position themselves as the expert in your life, telling you what you should do, how you should feel, and what decisions you should make. They make you feel like you're incapable of making good choices on your own, subtly eroding your confidence in your own judgment. The Stoics believed in cultivating inner wisdom and trusting your own judgment, and anyone who tries to make you doubt, that is trying to manipulate you. Finally, manipulators rarely respect your boundaries. They push against your limits, testing how far they can go, and when you try to assert yourself, they make you feel guilty or unreasonable. This constant boundary pushing is a clear sign of manipulation, as they are trying to control how much you give and how much they can take. Stoicism teaches the importance of maintaining firm boundaries to protect your peace. When someone tries to make you feel bad for setting boundaries, they are manipulating you. Understanding these tactics and recognizing them early is crucial for protecting your emotional well-being. The Stoics offer timeless wisdom on maintaining clarity and self-control, helping you see through the mask of manipulation and reclaim your inner peace. By identifying these behaviors and distancing yourself from those who use them, you can guard your mind, heart, and soul from the harm that manipulation causes. Having explored the subtle and damaging ways manipulators can disguise themselves as friends, we now turn to another danger that Stoicism warns us about: individuals who lack control over their emotions. While manipulation can be hidden, emotional volatility is often more visible, yet equally destructive. People who cannot manage their emotions can create storms in your life, pulling you into their chaos and disrupting your peace. These individuals are like wildfires, unpredictable and consuming, leaving destruction in their wake. In the next section, we'll examine why these emotionally unstable individuals are dangerous to your tranquility and how you can protect yourself by recognizing the signs early. Uncontrolled emotions spread like wildfire. Someone who cannot keep their anger, sadness, or frustration in check tends to create waves that affect everyone around them. Whether it's a sudden outburst over something minor or an intense reaction to everyday stresses, their emotional volatility can pull you into their storm. The Stoics taught that peace comes from within, but it's nearly impossible to maintain that inner calm when you're surrounded by someone whose emotions swing unpredictably. People who lack emotional control often act impulsively. They don't stop to think about the consequences of their actions, and as a result, their behavior can be erratic and harmful. This unpredictability makes it difficult to maintain a sense of stability in your interactions with them. One moment, everything seems fine, and the next, you're caught in the crossfire of their emotional outburst. The Stoics valued reason and reflection, urging us to pause before reacting. But when you're around someone who acts without thinking, they can quickly drag you into situations where reason is abandoned. Another characteristic of emotionally unstable individuals is that they tend to overreact. What might be a small issue for someone else becomes a major crisis in their eyes. This constant magnification of problems creates a stressful environment where even the most minor inconveniences feel overwhelming. When you're around someone who lacks emotional control, it becomes hard to keep things in perspective, as their overreactions start to shape how you see situations as well. The Stoics believed in keeping things in proportion, in not letting external events disturb your inner peace. But emotionally volatile people make that nearly impossible. Those who cannot manage their emotions often use them as weapons. Whether it's through anger, guilt, or sadness, they manipulate situations by playing on your feelings. Their emotional outbursts become a tool for getting what they want, as you start to feel responsible for their well-being. The Stoics remind us that we are not responsible for the emotions of others, especially when those emotions are used to control us. When someone consistently uses their emotional instability to manipulate you, they're not just a danger to your peace, they're actively working to undermine it. Another key issue with people who lack emotional control is their tendency to create drama. They thrive on conflict, intentionally or unintentionally stirring up tension wherever they go. Whether it's through arguments, emotional breakdowns, or passive-aggressive behavior, these individuals bring chaos into your life. The Stoics valued tranquility and the avoidance of unnecessary conflict, but people who cannot control their emotions seem to attract conflict like a magnet. Their constant need for emotional stimulation leaves little room for the calm and reason that Stoicism encourages. Emotional instability also makes it difficult to build trust. You never know how someone who cannot manage their emotions will react, and this unpredictability creates a sense of unease in your relationship with them. Trust requires consistency, and when someone's emotions are always in flux, you can never be sure where you stand. The Stoics believed that relationships should be based on mutual respect and stability, but emotionally unstable people make that kind of relationship impossible. You find yourself walking on eggshells, afraid that the next small issue could trigger a major reaction. Those who can't control their emotions often shift the emotional burden onto others. They expect you to manage their feelings for them, placing the responsibility of their happiness, sadness, or anger on your shoulders. This creates a one-sided relationship where you are constantly trying to calm them down, make them happy, or avoid triggering their next outburst. Stoicism teaches that each person is responsible for their own emotional state, and it's not your job to regulate someone else's feelings. If you find yourself constantly catering to someone's emotional needs at the expense of your own peace, it's a clear sign that they lack emotional control. People with poor emotional regulation also tend to hold grudges. Instead of resolving issues and moving on, they cling to past wrongs, allowing their anger or resentment to fester. This inability to let go of negative emotions creates a toxic environment where old conflicts are constantly being dredged up. The Stoics taught the importance of forgiveness and moving forward, as holding on to anger only harms the person carrying it. But emotionally unstable individuals are incapable of this, keeping the past alive in a way that poisons the present. Another problem with those who lack emotional control is that their emotions often spill over into unrelated areas. They may take out their frustration from work on you, or let their sadness from a personal issue cloud their interactions with friends and family. This emotional spillover creates a tense atmosphere where you're never quite sure if their reaction is related to the current situation or something else entirely. The Stoics believed in compartmentalizing emotions. in dealing with each situation as it arises rather than letting unrelated feelings interfere. But emotionally unstable people blur those lines, making it hard to address issues rationally. Emotionally volatile individuals also tend to blame others for their feelings. Instead of taking responsibility for their emotional state, they place the blame on external factors or people, making it seem like everyone else is responsible for their happiness or sadness. This projection of blame creates a toxic dynamic where you feel like you're constantly walking on thin ice, trying to avoid setting them off. The Stoics emphasized personal responsibility and the idea that our emotions are a result of our own perceptions, not the actions of others. When someone consistently blames others for their feelings, it's a sign that they lack the emotional control necessary for a healthy relationship. Another danger of emotionally unstable people is their tendency to escalate situations. Even when conflicts could be resolved calmly, they push the issue further, raising the emotional stakes until it becomes a full-blown argument. This escalation is often unnecessary and exhausting, as it turns minor disagreements into major confrontations. The Stoics believed in de-escalating conflict, in resolving issues with calmness and reason. But people who can't control their emotions do the opposite, creating tension where there could be peace. Those who lack emotional control often seek validation through their emotional displays. Whether it's through anger, sadness, or joy, they use their emotions to gain attention or sympathy from others. This constant need for validation becomes draining, as you feel obligated to respond to their every emotional shift. Stoicism teaches that true validation comes from within, not from external sources. When someone uses their emotions as a tool for validation, it's a sign that they are not in control of their emotional state and are relying on others to fill that void. People who cannot manage their emotions also tend to lack empathy. They are so caught up in their own feelings that they have little room to consider how their behavior affects others. This lack of empathy creates a self-centered dynamic where their emotions take priority over everything else. The Stoics believed in the importance of empathy, in understanding how our actions and emotions impact those around us. When someone lacks emotional control, they often fail to recognize or care about the harm they're causing. Another key issue is that emotionally unstable individuals often lack the ability to reflect on their behavior. They react impulsively and without thought, and afterward, they rarely take the time to reflect on how their actions may have been inappropriate or harmful. This lack of self-awareness makes it difficult to address problems, as they are unable or unwilling to see the role their emotions play in creating conflict. The Stoics valued self-reflection and believed that we must constantly examine our behavior and emotions to ensure that we are living in accordance with our values. Emotionally unstable people, however, avoid this kind of introspection, preferring to act on impulse rather than reason. People who can't control their emotions also tend to lack resilience. When faced with challenges or setbacks, they crumble under the weight of their emotions, making it difficult for them to move forward. This lack of emotional resilience makes them dependent on others to help them navigate difficult situations, placing an additional burden on those around them. The Stoics believed in cultivating resilience, in building the inner strength to face adversity without being overwhelmed by emotion. But emotionally unstable individuals are often unable to manage even small challenges without falling apart. Emotionally volatile individuals are also prone to making decisions based on their current emotional state, rather than on reason or long-term thinking. This leads to impulsive choices that may feel good in the moment, but have negative consequences down the line. The Stoics taught that we should base our decisions on logic and wisdom, not on fleeting emotions. When someone makes decisions purely out of emotion, it's a sign that they lack the control necessary to make thoughtful deliberate choices. Another danger of emotionally unstable people is that they tend to create codependent relationships. They rely heavily on others to regulate their emotions, and in doing so, they often encourage those around them to take on the role of caretaker or emotional stabilizer. This dynamic is unhealthy, as it places the burden of emotional regulation on you, rather than allowing them to take responsibility for their own feelings. Stoicism teaches that we should not be dependent on others for our emotional well-being, and when someone creates a codependent relationship, it undermines both your peace and theirs. Emotionally unstable people also have a way of draining your energy. Their constant emotional highs and lows create an exhausting dynamic where you feel like you're always managing their feelings instead of focusing on your own needs. This emotional exhaustion can take a toll on your mental health as you become more and more entangled in their emotional turmoil. The Stoics valued conserving energy for things that matter, for cultivating inner peace and clarity. But when you're constantly dealing with someone else's emotional chaos, it becomes nearly impossible to maintain your own sense of balance. Those who lack emotional control often struggle to handle criticism. Even the most constructive feedback can trigger an emotional outburst, making it difficult to have honest conversations with them. This inability to accept criticism creates a barrier to growth, as they are unable to reflect on their behavior and make necessary changes. The Stoics believed that criticism is an opportunity for growth, but emotionally unstable people see it as a personal attack, further fueling their emotional instability. Emotionally volatile individuals are also prone to taking things personally. They interpret neutral or even positive actions as slights, and their emotional response is often disproportionate to the situation. This hypersensitivity makes it difficult to have normal interactions, as you constantly worry about how they will interpret your words or actions. The Stoics taught that we should not take things personally, that the actions of others are a reflection of them, not us. But emotionally unstable people struggle with this, making every interaction feel like a potential emotional minefield. Another danger is that emotionally unstable people often lack boundaries. They may invade your personal space, push you to share more than you're comfortable with, or demand more of your time and energy than you can give. This lack of respect for boundaries creates an imbalance in the relationship, where their emotional needs always take precedence over yours. The Stoics valued boundaries, recognizing that maintaining healthy relationships requires a balance between giving and protecting one's own peace. When someone consistently pushes against your boundaries, it's a sign that they lack emotional control and respect for your well-being. People who cannot manage their emotions also tend to be highly reactive. They respond immediately to any perceived threat or slight, often without fully understanding the situation. This reactivity leads to unnecessary conflict and tension, as their emotional responses escalate situations that could have been resolved calmly. The Stoics taught the importance of pausing before reacting, of taking a moment to reflect before allowing emotions to guide our actions. But emotionally unstable people skip this step, reacting impulsively and creating chaos in their wake. Emotionally volatile individuals also struggle with consistency. Their behavior is unpredictable, swinging from one extreme to the other, depending on their emotional state. This inconsistency makes it difficult to build trust, as you never know which version of them you'll get on any given day. The Stoics valued consistency in character, believing that we should strive to remain steady and reliable regardless of external circumstances. But emotionally unstable people are unable to maintain this consistency, making it hard to form stable, trusting relationships with them. Another issue with those who lack emotional control is that they often use their emotions as an excuse for their behavior. Instead of taking responsibility for their actions, they blame their emotional state, saying things like, "I was just upset," or "I didn't mean it, I was angry." This refusal to take ownership of their actions creates a dynamic where their emotions justify harmful behavior. The Stoics believed that we are responsible for our actions, regardless of how we feel, and that emotions should never be used as an excuse for mistreating others. People who can't control their emotions also tend to be highly defensive. When confronted with their behavior, they respond with anger, denial, or deflection, making it difficult to address issues directly. This defensiveness creates a cycle of unresolved conflict, where problems are never truly dealt with because the emotional reaction takes precedence over finding a solution. The Stoics taught that defensiveness is a barrier to growth, as it prevents us from seeing the truth of our actions and making necessary changes. But emotionally unstable people are often too caught up in their emotions to engage in honest self-reflection. Emotionally volatile individuals also have a tendency to catastrophize. They see every problem as a disaster, every setback as the end of the world. This constant catastrophizing creates an atmosphere of fear and anxiety where even small challenges feel overwhelming. The Stoics taught that we should keep things in perspective, recognizing that most problems are not as big as they seem in the moment. But emotionally unstable people blow everything out of proportion, making it difficult to maintain a sense of calm and rationality. Another danger of emotionally unstable people is that they often struggle with accountability. When things go wrong, they are quick to blame others or external circumstances, refusing to take responsibility for their role in the situation. This lack of accountability creates a toxic dynamic where they avoid the consequences of their actions and continue to engage in harmful behavior. The Stoics valued accountability, believing that we must take responsibility for our actions in order to grow and improve. But emotionally unstable people are often unwilling to do this, leaving a trail of unresolved issues in their wake. Emotionally volatile individuals also tend to be highly sensitive to rejection. Even the slightest hint of disapproval can trigger an emotional spiral, making it difficult to have honest or difficult conversations with them. This sensitivity to rejection creates a dynamic where you feel like you have to constantly tiptoe around their feelings, avoiding any topic that might upset them. The Stoics believed in the importance of honesty and directness in relationships, but emotionally unstable people make that difficult by turning every perceived rejection into a major emotional event. Another issue is that emotionally unstable people often have difficulty managing stress. When faced with challenging situations, their emotional response is often disproportionate, leading to heightened tension and conflict. This inability to manage stress creates a chaotic environment where even everyday tasks become overwhelming. The Stoics taught that stress is a part of life and should be managed with calm and reason. But emotionally unstable people struggle with this, allowing stress to control their behavior and create unnecessary conflict. People who cannot control their emotions also tend to be highly reactive to feedback. Even the most constructive criticism can trigger an emotional outburst, making it difficult to have productive conversations about improvement or growth. This reactivity creates a barrier to learning and development, as they are unable to separate their emotions from the feedback they receive. The Stoics valued feedback as a tool for growth, believing that we should welcome criticism as an opportunity to improve. But emotionally unstable people often see feedback as a personal attack, further fueling their emotional instability. Emotionally volatile individuals also tend to have difficulty maintaining healthy relationships. Their emotional instability creates a dynamic where conflict and tension are constant, making it difficult to build trust or intimacy. This instability can also lead to a pattern of push-pull behavior, where they alternate between seeking closeness and pushing people away. The Stoics believed in the importance of stable, harmonious relationships, but emotionally unstable people make that kind of connection nearly impossible. Another issue is that emotionally unstable people often struggle with self-regulation. They have difficulty controlling their impulses, leading to behavior that is erratic and unpredictable. This lack of self-regulation creates a sense of instability in their relationships, as those around them are constantly unsure of how they will behave. The Stoics valued self-regulation as a key component of emotional control, believing that we must learn to manage our impulses in order to live a balanced and peaceful life. Emotionally volatile individuals also tend to be highly reactive to stress. When faced with challenging situations, their emotional response is often disproportionate, leading to heightened tension and conflict. This inability to manage stress creates a chaotic environment where even everyday tasks become overwhelming. The Stoics taught that stress is a part of life and should be managed with calm and reason. But emotionally unstable people struggle with this, allowing stress to control their behavior and create unnecessary conflict. Finally, emotionally unstable people often lack emotional resilience. When faced with adversity, they struggle to bounce back, allowing their emotions to overwhelm them. This lack of resilience makes it difficult for them to handle challenges in a healthy way, leading to a cycle of emotional turmoil. The Stoics believed in the importance of resilience, in developing the inner strength to face challenges without being overwhelmed by emotion. But emotionally unstable people are often unable to manage even small challenges without falling apart. Each of these behaviors contributes to the overall instability that emotionally volatile people bring into your life. Stoicism teaches that we must protect our peace by surrounding ourselves with those who are emotionally stable and grounded. When you allow emotionally unstable people into your life, their volatility becomes your chaos, disrupting the calm and balance that Stoicism encourages. By recognizing these signs and distancing yourself from those who lack emotional control, you can protect your peace and maintain the inner stability that is so central to the Stoic philosophy. Having explored the dangers of people who lack emotional control and how their chaos can erode your peace, we now turn to another threat to your well-being, the self-centered person. This type of individual doesn't cause dramatic emotional outbursts, but their selfishness can be just as damaging. Their focus is always on themselves, and they care little for how their actions affect those around them. The Stoics warned against such people because their presence slowly drains your energy, undermines your happiness, and places your needs in the shadows. In the next section, we will uncover how to identify these self-absorbed individuals and why it is essential to distance yourself from them to safeguard your well-being. Self-centered people have a way of making everything about them. No matter what situation arises, they find a way to shift the focus to themselves, their needs, and their desires. This constant attention-seeking behavior can be draining because it leaves little room for others to express themselves or share their experiences. The Stoics valued balance and reciprocity in relationships, but when you're dealing with a self-centered person, that balance is lost. Every interaction becomes one-sided, with you always giving and them always taking. These individuals also have a tendency to dismiss your feelings or needs as insignificant. When you try to express your thoughts or emotions, they quickly turn the conversation back to themselves, showing little empathy or understanding. Over time, this makes you feel undervalued and unimportant. The Stoics believed in the importance of mutual respect and understanding in relationships, but self-centered people are incapable of offering that. Their lack of concern for others creates an environment where you feel invisible, constantly fighting for attention that they will never give. Self-centered people are often masters at manipulation, using their charm to keep you engaged in their world while offering little in return. They may flatter you when it serves their purposes, but that flattery is always hollow, designed to keep you hooked on their needs. The Stoics taught that relationships should be built on sincerity and mutual respect, but self-centered individuals use manipulation to maintain control, ensuring that you remain focused on them while neglecting your own needs. Another trait of self-centered people is their inability to handle criticism. They view any suggestion that they are less than perfect as a personal attack, and their reactions to criticism are often defensive or dismissive. This inability to reflect on their own flaws creates a dynamic where they are always right and everyone else is wrong. The Stoics valued humility and self-awareness, but self-centered individuals lack both. Their refusal to acknowledge their own shortcomings leaves little room for growth, both for themselves and for those around them. These people also have a tendency to take credit for the successes of others. Whether it's in the workplace or in personal relationships, they find ways to insert themselves into your achievements, claiming credit for things they didn't contribute to. This need for constant recognition is exhausting because it diminishes your own accomplishments. The Stoics believed that success should be shared and celebrated together, but self-centered people are incapable of sharing the spotlight. They need all the praise and recognition for themselves, even at the expense of others. Self-centered individuals often lack genuine empathy. While they may offer sympathy in certain situations, their concern rarely extends beyond surface-level interactions. They have little interest in truly understanding the struggles or emotions of others unless it directly benefits them. The Stoics emphasized the importance of empathy and compassion in fostering strong relationships, but self-centered people are unable to connect on a deeper emotional level. Their interactions are often transactional, leaving you feeling unfulfilled and unsupported. One of the more subtle ways self-centered people reveal themselves is through their constant need for validation. They are always seeking praise and affirmation from others, often fishing for compliments or exaggerating their accomplishments to receive recognition. This constant need for validation can be draining because it forces you to constantly reassure them while neglecting your own needs for acknowledgement. The Stoics taught that true confidence comes from within, not from the approval of others. Self-centered people, however, rely on external validation to feel good about themselves, and they expect you to provide it. Self-centered individuals are often highly competitive, even in situations where competition isn't necessary. They view every interaction as a chance to prove their superiority, whether it's in conversations, work projects, or social settings. This constant need to outshine others creates an environment of tension and comparison, where no one can simply enjoy the moment without feeling like they're being measured. The Stoics believed in collaboration and mutual respect, but self-centered people turn every situation into a competition, making it hard to find peace or camaraderie in their presence. Another common trait of self-centered people is their tendency to downplay the struggles or achievements of others. When you share your successes, they quickly diminish them by pointing out how it's not that big of a deal, or by comparing it to their own, often exaggerated accomplishments. This behavior slowly chips away at your confidence and self-worth, making you question whether your achievements are truly valuable. The Stoics taught that we should celebrate the successes of others as well as our own, but self-centered people are incapable of genuine celebration unless they are at the center of it. These individuals also tend to have a strong sense of entitlement. They believe they deserve special treatment, whether it's preferential treatment at work, extra attention in social settings, or constant accommodation in relationships. This entitlement can be exhausting because it places the burden on you to always cater to their needs and desires, while they offer little in return. The Stoics believed that humility and gratitude were essential virtues, but self-centered people see the world through a lens of entitlement, expecting everything to revolve around them. Self-centered people also have a way of making you feel guilty for not prioritizing their needs. They may subtly suggest that you're being selfish if you take time for yourself or pursue your own interests. Over time, this manipulation can make you feel like you owe them your time and energy, even when it's detrimental to your own well-being. The Stoics emphasized the importance of maintaining personal boundaries and protecting your peace, but self-centered individuals make it difficult to do so, as they constantly push you to put their needs above your own. Another trait of self-centered individuals is their lack of emotional support. While they expect you to be there for them during their difficult times, they are often absent when you need support. This one-sided dynamic leaves you feeling isolated and unsupported, as you realize that they only care about your well-being when it serves their interests. The Stoics believed that relationships should be built on mutual support and care, but self-centered people are incapable of offering that. They take and take, leaving you emotionally depleted. Self-centered people also have a habit of turning every conversation into a platform to talk about themselves. Even when you're sharing something important or meaningful, they find a way to redirect the conversation back to their own experiences. This behavior makes it difficult to feel heard or valued, as every interaction becomes about them. The Stoics valued meaningful communication and the exchange of ideas, but self-centered individuals dominate conversations, leaving little room for true connection or understanding. These individuals are often highly demanding of your time and attention. They expect you to drop everything for them, whether it's to listen to their problems, attend to their needs, or offer them validation. This constant demand for attention can be overwhelming, as it leaves little room for your own needs or responsibilities. The Stoics taught that balance and moderation are key to maintaining peace, but self-centered people throw that balance off by constantly requiring more from you than they are willing to give in return. Another sign of a self-centered person is their inability to celebrate others without making it about themselves. Even when it's your moment to shine, whether it's a promotion, a personal achievement, or a milestone in your life, they find a way to insert themselves into the narrative. This behavior diminishes your joy and turns what should be a moment of celebration into another opportunity for them to seek attention. The Stoics believed that we should celebrate the successes of others with genuine happiness, but self-centered individuals are incapable of this, as they always need to be the center of attention. Self-centered people also tend to be highly critical of others, often pointing out flaws or mistakes without offering constructive feedback. This constant criticism can wear you down, making you feel like you're never good enough. The Stoics taught that we should focus on our own growth and improvement rather than tearing others down, but self-centered individuals use criticism as a way to elevate themselves, creating an environment where negativity thrives and personal growth is stifled. These individuals are also prone to making decisions that benefit themselves at the expense of others. Whether it's in personal relationships or professional settings, they prioritize their own interests without considering how their actions might impact those around them. This self-serving behavior creates tension and resentment, as others begin to realize that their needs will always come second to the self-centered person's desires. The Stoics valued fairness and justice, believing that we should act in a way that benefits the greater good, but self-centered people act only in their own interest. Self-centered people also have a tendency to exaggerate their problems, making them seem more significant than they actually are. This behavior shifts the focus away from any issues you might be facing as their problems are always framed as more urgent or important. Over time, this creates a dynamic where your struggles are minimized or ignored, while theirs take center stage. The Stoics believed in maintaining perspective and not allowing minor issues to disrupt our peace, but self-centered people thrive on magnifying their problems, ensuring that they remain the focus of attention. Another sign of a self-centered person is their inability to give without expecting something in return. While they may offer help or support, it often comes with strings attached. Whether it's expecting praise, favors, or loyalty in return, their generosity is never truly selfless. This transactional approach to relationships creates an environment where everything feels conditional, and you're constantly wondering what they expect from you in exchange for their help. The Stoics taught that true generosity comes from a place of selflessness, but self-centered individuals are incapable of giving without expecting something in return. Self-centered individuals also have a way of making you feel like you're always competing for their attention. Whether it's in social settings or personal relationships, they create a dynamic where you feel like you have to constantly prove your worth to gain their approval or acknowledgement. This constant competition can be exhausting, as you're always striving to meet their expectations without receiving the same level of attention or care in return. The Stoics believed in the importance of mutual respect and equality in relationships, but self-centered people make it impossible to achieve that balance. Another trait of self-centered individuals is their tendency to be highly defensive when confronted with their behavior. Even when you try to address their selfishness or lack of empathy, they quickly turn the conversation around, making it about how they feel attacked or misunderstood. This defensiveness creates a barrier to honest communication, as they are unwilling to acknowledge their flaws or take responsibility for their actions. The Stoics valued self-reflection and the ability to accept criticism as a tool for growth, but self-centered people avoid this at all costs, protecting their ego above all else. Self-centered people also tend to have unrealistic expectations of others. They expect you to be available whenever they need you, to drop everything for them, and to constantly prioritize their needs. This creates a dynamic where you feel like you're never doing enough, even when you're giving more than you can. The Stoics taught that we should set realistic expectations for ourselves and others, but self-centered individuals push those boundaries, always demanding more than what is reasonable or fair. These individuals also struggle to form deep, meaningful connections with others. Their focus on themselves leaves little room for genuine intimacy or emotional vulnerability, as they are more concerned with maintaining their image or receiving validation than with truly connecting with others. This lack of depth in relationships can leave you feeling unfulfilled and unsupported, as your emotional needs are often neglected. The Stoics believed in the importance of cultivating deep, meaningful relationships, but self-centered people are incapable of offering that level of connection. Another sign of a self-centered person is their tendency to take advantage of others. Whether it's by exploiting your kindness, using your resources, or relying on you for emotional support without offering anything in return, they always find a way to benefit from the relationship without giving back. This one-sided dynamic creates an imbalance where you feel drained and used, while they continue to take without any sense of responsibility. The Stoics valued fairness and reciprocity in relationships, but self-centered people are only concerned with what they can gain from others. Self-centered individuals are also often highly competitive, even in situations where competition isn't necessary. They view every interaction as an opportunity to prove their superiority, whether it's in conversations, work projects, or social settings. This constant need to outshine others creates an environment of tension and comparison, where no one can simply enjoy the moment without feeling like they're being measured. The Stoics believed in collaboration and mutual respect, but self-centered people turn every situation into a competition, making it hard to find peace or camaraderie in their presence. Self-centered people also tend to dominate conversations, often interrupting others or steering the discussion back to themselves. This behavior makes it difficult for anyone else to share their thoughts or feelings, as the self-centered person is always focused on their own experiences. This lack of consideration for others creates a dynamic where you feel unheard and unimportant. The Stoics believed in the importance of listening and engaging in meaningful dialogue, but self-centered individuals are more interested in hearing their own voice. These individuals also have a tendency to minimize the struggles or achievements of others. When you share your successes or challenges, they quickly dismiss them, either by comparing them to their own or by suggesting that they aren't as significant as you think. This behavior diminishes your sense of accomplishment and makes you question whether your experiences are valid. The Stoics taught that we should celebrate the achievements of others and offer support during their struggles, but self-centered people are incapable of offering that kind of encouragement. Self-centered people also tend to have a strong sense of entitlement. They believe they deserve special treatment, whether it's preferential treatment at work, extra attention in social settings, or constant accommodation in relationships. This entitlement can be exhausting because it places the burden on you to always cater to their needs and desires, while they offer little in return. The Stoics believed that humility and gratitude were essential virtues, but self-centered people see the world through a lens of entitlement, expecting everything to revolve around them. Finally, self-centered individuals often lack gratitude. They take the efforts of others for granted, rarely acknowledging the time, energy, or support that has been given to them. This lack of appreciation creates a dynamic where you feel undervalued and unappreciated as your contributions go unnoticed. The Stoics believed that gratitude is key to maintaining a sense of peace and contentment, but self-centered people are incapable of experiencing true gratitude, as their focus is always on what they can take rather than what they have received. Each of these traits reveals the damaging effects of self-centered people on your life. Their focus on themselves creates an environment where your needs, emotions, and achievements are constantly overshadowed by their own desires. The Stoics warned that such individuals would sabotage your happiness, and by recognizing these behaviors early, you can protect your peace and create space for more fulfilling, balanced relationships. As we leave behind the self-centered individuals who erode your happiness by focusing only on their own needs, we now turn to a more insidious type of person, one whose dishonesty can be even more destructive. While self-centered people drain your energy by keeping the spotlight on themselves, dishonest individuals slowly chip away at the very foundation of trust. They not only mislead you, but also distort your reality, making it difficult to find peace or clarity. The Stoics believed that truth and integrity are essential in maintaining healthy relationships and personal well-being, and dishonesty is the antithesis of this philosophy. In this section, we will explore how dishonesty destroys trust, undermines your mental and emotional health, and why people who cannot be truthful are among the most dangerous to your well-being. Dishonesty breaks trust, and trust is the cornerstone of any meaningful relationship. Whether it's a friendship, romantic relationship, or professional partnership, trust allows us to feel safe, secure, and connected. When someone lies to you, that foundation is shattered, and it becomes difficult to rebuild. The Stoics believed in the importance of honesty, not just as a moral principle, but as a practical tool for creating harmony and peace in life. Without honesty, that harmony is replaced by confusion and doubt, leaving you constantly questioning the other person's motives and actions. People who are dishonest also create an environment of uncertainty. When you know someone has lied to you, it becomes difficult to believe anything they say, even if it's true. This constant state of doubt can be exhausting, as you are forced to second-guess everything they tell you. The Stoics taught that clarity and truth are essential for peace of mind, but dishonesty throws everything into a fog where nothing is clear or straightforward. Living in that kind of uncertainty undermines your ability to trust not only others, but also your own judgment. Dishonesty often involves manipulation. Those who lie frequently do so to gain something, whether it's power, control, or personal advantage. This manipulation erodes your sense of agency, making you feel as if you're being controlled by someone else's false narrative. The Stoics valued personal autonomy and the freedom to make informed choices, but dishonest people strip that freedom away by presenting a false version of reality. Over time, this manipulation can lead to feelings of helplessness, as you realize that your decisions have been based on lies rather than truth. Another destructive aspect of dishonesty is that it undermines your self-confidence. When someone lies to you, it often leaves you questioning your own perceptions and instincts. This self-doubt can be incredibly damaging, as you start to wonder whether you can trust your own judgment. The Stoics taught that self-confidence comes from living in alignment with truth and integrity, but dishonesty makes it difficult to maintain that alignment. Instead of feeling grounded in reality, you are constantly questioning what is real and what is false. Dishonest people also create emotional instability. When you find out that someone has lied to you, it triggers a range of negative emotions: anger, betrayal, sadness, and confusion. These emotions can be overwhelming, especially when they stem from someone you trusted. The Stoics believed in maintaining emotional balance, in not allowing external events to disrupt your inner peace. But dishonesty makes that balance nearly impossible, as it stirs up emotions that are hard to control or manage. Another key problem with dishonest people is that their lies often snowball. One lie leads to another, and before long, they are trapped in a web of deception that becomes more and more complex. This escalation of dishonesty creates a situation where it's difficult to discern what's true and what's false. The Stoics valued simplicity and clarity, believing that life should be lived with openness and honesty. But dishonest people complicate everything, turning even simple matters into convoluted messes of deceit. Dishonesty also erodes respect in relationships. When someone lies to you, it shows a fundamental lack of respect for your intelligence, your emotions, and your ability to handle the truth. Over time, this lack of respect can poison the relationship, making it impossible to feel valued or appreciated. The Stoics believed that mutual respect is essential for healthy relationships, and when dishonesty enters the equation, that respect is destroyed. You begin to see the other person not as a partner or friend, but as someone who cannot be trusted or relied upon. Another damaging aspect of dishonesty is the way it undermines communication. When someone lies to you, it creates a barrier to open and honest communication. Conversations become laced with suspicion, and it becomes difficult to express yourself freely, knowing that the other person may not be truthful in return. The Stoics valued clear and honest communication as a way to resolve conflicts and build understanding, but dishonesty turns communication into a game of guessing and second-guessing where nothing is ever fully transparent. Dishonesty also isolates you from others. When you're in a relationship with someone who lies, it can be difficult to share your experiences or emotions with other people, either out of embarrassment or because you don't know what's real anymore. This isolation can leave you feeling lonely and unsupported, as you are trapped in a relationship where trust has been broken, but you're unsure of how to move forward. The Stoics taught that community and connection are essential for a good life, but dishonesty cuts you off from those connections, leaving you isolated in a web of lies. People who are dishonest also tend to avoid accountability. When confronted with their lies, they often shift the blame onto others, making excuses for their behavior rather than taking responsibility. This lack of accountability creates a toxic dynamic where nothing ever gets resolved, as the dishonest person refuses to own up to their actions. The Stoics valued personal responsibility and believed that we must be accountable for our actions, but dishonest people avoid this responsibility, leaving you feeling frustrated and powerless. Another danger of dishonesty is that it breeds more dishonesty. When someone lies to you, it can be tempting to lie in return, either to protect yourself or to avoid further conflict. This creates a vicious cycle of dishonesty where both parties are operating under false pretenses. The Stoics believed that truth and integrity are essential for a virtuous life, and once dishonesty enters the picture, it becomes difficult to live according to those values. The more lies that are told, the further you drift from the principles of honesty and virtue. Dishonest people also have a tendency to gaslight others. Gaslighting involves manipulating someone into questioning their own reality, making them doubt their perceptions and memories. This form of dishonesty is particularly insidious, as it not only undermines your trust in others, but also in yourself. The Stoics taught that we must trust our own perceptions and judgment, but gaslighting erodes that trust, leaving you feeling confused and uncertain about what's real. Over time, this can lead to a complete breakdown of your sense of self. Another problem with dishonest people is that their lies often create unnecessary conflict. When the truth eventually comes out, as it often does, it leads to arguments, accusations, and hurt feelings. These conflicts could have been avoided if the person had been honest from the beginning, but dishonesty only delays the inevitable. The Stoics believed that conflict should be resolved quickly and with honesty, but dishonest people drag out conflicts by refusing to tell the truth, creating long-lasting tension and resentment. Dishonesty also undermines your sense of security. When someone lies to you, it creates a feeling of instability, as you never know when the next lie will surface or what other truths are being hidden. This lack of security can make you feel anxious and on edge, as you are constantly waiting for the next betrayal. The Stoics valued inner peace and believed that we should cultivate a sense of security within ourselves, but dishonesty makes it difficult to feel secure in your relationships or your life. Another issue with dishonesty is that it erodes your ability to forgive. When someone lies to you repeatedly, it becomes harder and harder to forgive their actions, as each lie feels like a deeper betrayal. This lack of forgiveness can lead to resentment, which the Stoics warned against, as it harms your own well-being more than anyone else's. However, when dishonesty is at play, it becomes nearly impossible to let go of that resentment, as the trust required for forgiveness has been broken. Dishonest people also have a way of making you feel responsible for their lies. They may tell you that they lied to protect you, or that they didn't tell the truth because they didn't want to hurt you. This manipulation shifts the blame onto you, making it seem like their dishonesty was somehow your fault. The Stoics taught that we are responsible for our own actions and emotions, and we should not take on the burden of someone else's dishonesty. When someone tries to make you feel responsible for their lies, it's a clear sign of manipulation. Another damaging effect of dishonesty is that it creates a sense of betrayal. When someone you trust lies to you, it feels like a personal attack, as if they have intentionally harmed you. This sense of betrayal can be difficult to overcome, as it strikes at the heart of the relationship. The Stoics believed that betrayal is one of the most painful experiences we can endure, as it undermines our sense of safety and trust in the world. When dishonesty leads to betrayal, It leaves deep emotional scars that are difficult to heal. Dishonest people also tend to lie to themselves. They often convince themselves that their lies are justified or that they aren't really hurting anyone. This self-deception allows them to continue lying without feeling guilty or ashamed. The Stoics taught that self-honesty is essential for personal growth, and those who lie to themselves are incapable of truly understanding their own actions or motivations. When someone is dishonest with themselves, it becomes impossible for them to be honest with others. Another problem with dishonesty is that it creates a toxic environment where lies become the norm. Once dishonesty enters a relationship, it becomes easier for both parties to lie, creating a culture of deceit. This toxic environment undermines trust, communication, and respect, making it difficult to maintain a healthy and functional relationship. The Stoics believed that honesty is the foundation of all good relationships, and when dishonesty takes hold, it destroys that foundation, leaving only mistrust and resentment in its wake. Dishonesty also undermines your ability to make informed decisions. When someone lies to you, they withhold important information that you need to make good choices. This manipulation of the truth leaves you at a disadvantage, as you are forced to make decisions based on incomplete or false information. The Stoics valued wisdom and knowledge, believing that we must seek the truth in all things. But dishonest people prevent you from accessing that truth, making it difficult to make wise and informed choices. Another danger of dishonesty is that it can lead to isolation. When you realize that someone has been lying to you, it can make you wary of trusting others. This wariness can lead to a sense of isolation as you start to distance yourself from people out of fear of being lied to again. The Stoics taught that we must cultivate meaningful relationships with others, but dishonesty makes it difficult to form those connections, as it leaves you feeling guarded and distrustful. Dishonest people also have a tendency to manipulate facts to fit their narrative. They may twist the truth or leave out key details to make themselves look better or to avoid accountability. This manipulation of the facts makes it difficult to have a clear understanding of what's really going on, as the truth is constantly being distorted. The Stoics valued truth and clarity, believing that we must see things as they truly are in order to live a virtuous life. But dishonest people prevent you from seeing the truth, leaving you in a state of confusion and uncertainty. Another problem with dishonesty is that it often leads to guilt and shame. When someone lies, they may initially feel a sense of relief or satisfaction, but over time, the weight of their dishonesty begins to take a toll. This guilt and shame can create a toxic emotional environment where the person who lied feels trapped by their own deceit. The Stoics taught that guilt and shame are destructive emotions that prevent us from living a peaceful and fulfilling life. But dishonesty breeds these emotions, creating a cycle of negativity and self-doubt. Dishonest people also have a way of justifying their lies. They may tell themselves that their dishonesty is harmless or that it was necessary to avoid conflict. This justification allows them to continue lying without feeling guilty or ashamed. The Stoics believed that honesty is always the best policy, regardless of the consequences. When someone justifies their lies, they are avoiding the truth and preventing themselves from living in accordance with Stoic principles. Another damaging effect of dishonesty is that it can lead to a loss of self-respect. When someone lies, they often feel a sense of guilt or shame afterward, knowing that they have betrayed their own values. This loss of self-respect can lead to a downward spiral where the person continues to lie in order to avoid facing the truth about themselves. The Stoics taught that self-respect is essential for living a virtuous life, and dishonesty undermines that self-respect, leading to a life filled with regret and dishonor. Finally, Dishonesty creates a barrier to personal growth. When someone is dishonest, they are avoiding the truth about themselves and their actions. This avoidance prevents them from learning from their mistakes and growing as a person. The Stoics believed that personal growth comes from self-reflection and honesty, and those who lie are incapable of engaging in that process. By living a life of dishonesty, they prevent themselves from achieving true happiness and fulfillment, as they are trapped in a cycle of deceit and self-deception. Dishonest people are among the most destructive to your well-being because they undermine trust, distort reality, and create emotional instability. The Stoics emphasized the importance of honesty and integrity in all aspects of life, as these values are essential for maintaining peace, harmony, and personal growth. When dishonesty enters a relationship, it erodes the foundation of trust, leaving behind only confusion, doubt, and betrayal. By recognizing the signs of dishonesty and distancing yourself from those who cannot be truthful, you can protect your peace and create space for more authentic and fulfilling relationships. As we leave behind the destructive influence of dishonest people, whose lies erode trust and clarity, we now turn to another type of individual that threatens your well-being, those who thrive on drama and disruption. These people create chaos wherever they go, stirring up conflict, tension, and unnecessary complications. Unlike dishonesty, which subtly chips away at relationships, the presence of drama seekers is more overt, dragging you into conflicts that drain your energy and disturb your peace. The Stoics believed that tranquility and inner calm are essential for a good life, and those who constantly bring drama into your world are enemies of that peace. In this section, we will explore how to identify people who create disruption and learn why it is crucial to distance yourself from their chaotic influence. People who thrive on drama have a way of turning even the smallest issues into major crises. They inflate minor disagreements into full-blown conflicts, ensuring that tension is always high. This constant amplification of problems creates an environment where peace is impossible, as you are always dealing with some new issue or argument. The Stoics taught that we should keep things in perspective, understanding that most problems are not as significant as they seem. But drama seekers do the opposite, making every situation seem dire and urgent. Those who create drama often do so to gain attention. They want to be at the center of every situation, and by stirring up conflict, they ensure that all eyes are on them. This need for attention can be exhausting for those around them, as you are constantly dragged into their theatrics. The Stoics believed in seeking attention for virtuous actions, not for causing chaos, and anyone who disrupts your peace to fulfill their desire for attention is a threat to your well-being. Another trait of people who thrive on drama is their inability to resolve conflicts peacefully. They seem to enjoy the tension and discord that comes from unresolved arguments, and rather than seeking solutions, they escalate the situation further. This behavior prevents any sense of closure or harmony, leaving you stuck in a cycle of conflict. The Stoics valued resolution and calm, believing that conflicts should be handled with reason and understanding. Drama seekers, however, are not interested in resolution. They thrive on the chaos itself. People who create drama also tend to gossip. They spread rumors, share secrets, and stir up trouble behind the scenes, often turning others against each other. This creates a toxic atmosphere where trust is eroded and relationships are strained. The Stoics warned against gossip, teaching that we should focus on our own behavior rather than meddling in the affairs of others. But drama seekers live for gossip, as it allows them to manipulate situations and create even more disruption. Another way drama seekers reveal themselves is through their constant need for conflict. They seem to seek out arguments, debates, or disagreements, even when none exist. This constant pursuit of conflict creates a stressful environment where you feel like you're always on edge, waiting for the next blow-up. The Stoics believed in cultivating peace and avoiding unnecessary conflict, but drama seekers thrive on the tension that conflict brings, making it impossible to maintain calm around them. Drama seekers also have a way of making everything about themselves. Even in situations that have nothing to do with them, they find a way to insert themselves into the narrative, often causing more confusion and tension in the process. This self-centered behavior disrupts the natural flow of events, as everything becomes about their needs, feelings, or opinions. The Stoics valued humility and the ability to step back from the spotlight, but drama seekers are incapable of this. They need to be the center of attention, even if it means creating chaos. People who thrive on drama also tend to lack emotional stability. Their moods swing wildly from one extreme to the other, creating an unpredictable environment where you never know what to expect. This emotional volatility makes it difficult to maintain a sense of balance, as you are constantly reacting to their outbursts or breakdowns. The Stoics taught that emotional stability is key to maintaining peace, and anyone who disrupts that stability is a danger to your well-being. Another trait of drama seekers is their tendency to play the victim. They position themselves as the ones who are always wronged, even when they are the ones causing the conflict. This victim mentality allows them to manipulate others into feeling sorry for them, even as they continue to stir up trouble. The Stoics warned against playing the victim, teaching that we must take responsibility for our own actions and emotions. Drama seekers, however, avoid responsibility by casting themselves as the victim in every situation. People who create drama often have a way of making you feel guilty for not engaging in their chaos. They may accuse you of being uncaring or indifferent if you refuse to get involved in their latest conflict, manipulating you into participating in their drama. The Stoics believed that we should protect our peace and avoid being drawn into unnecessary conflict, but drama seekers make that difficult by using guilt and manipulation to pull you into their disruptive behavior. Another problem with drama seekers is that they drain your energy. Constantly dealing with their conflicts, emotional outbursts and manipulations is exhausting, leaving you with little energy for your own well-being. The Stoics taught that we must conserve our energy for things that matter, focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we cannot. But drama seekers take that energy away, leaving you feeling drained and depleted. People who thrive on drama also tend to be highly reactive. They respond to every perceived slight or insult with an over-the-top reaction, turning small issues into major confrontations. This reactivity makes it difficult to address issues calmly, as any attempt at resolution is met with heightened emotions. The Stoics valued calm and measured responses, believing that we should not allow external events to dictate our emotional state. Drama seekers, however, do the opposite, allowing their emotions to control them and everyone around them. Drama seekers also have a way of creating division. They thrive on pitting people against each other, whether it's in the workplace, social circles, or even within families. By creating these divisions, they ensure that conflict is always present, giving them more opportunities to stir up trouble. The Stoics believed in unity and harmony, in bringing people together rather than dividing them. But drama seekers are the opposite. They thrive on division, knowing that it creates the perfect environment for disruption. Another sign of people who create drama is their inability to let go of past conflicts. They hold on to grudges, bringing up old arguments or slights long after they should have been resolved. This inability to move on keeps the tension alive, ensuring that peace is never fully restored. The Stoics taught that we should let go of the past and focus on the present, but drama seekers are trapped in a cycle of reliving old conflicts, preventing any sense of closure or resolution. Drama seekers also have a tendency to exaggerate. They blow situations out of proportion, making everything seem more dramatic or dire than it actually is. This constant exaggeration creates a sense of urgency and crisis, even when there is none. The Stoics believed in keeping things in perspective, understanding that most problems are not as significant as they seem. But drama seekers thrive on exaggeration, using it to create a constant state of chaos and disruption. People who create drama often lack boundaries. They insert themselves into situations where they don't belong, offering unsolicited opinions or advice, and creating conflict where none existed. This lack of boundaries makes it difficult to maintain your own sense of peace, as they are constantly intruding on your personal space or decisions. The Stoics valued boundaries and the ability to maintain control over your own life, but drama seekers make that difficult by constantly crossing those boundaries. Another trait of drama seekers is their refusal to take responsibility for their actions. They may cause conflict, stir up tension, or create problems, but when confronted, they shift the blame onto others. This lack of accountability makes it impossible to resolve conflicts, as they refuse to acknowledge their role in the situation. The Stoics taught that we must take responsibility for our actions and emotions, but drama seekers avoid this at all costs, ensuring that the conflict continues. Drama seekers also have a way of turning others against each other. They may spread rumors, share secrets, or manipulate situations to create conflict between people who would otherwise get along. This behavior creates an environment of distrust and tension, where everyone is on edge, waiting for the next piece of gossip or drama to unfold. The Stoics valued trust and harmony in relationships, but drama seekers thrive on creating discord, ensuring that no one feels secure or at peace. People who thrive on drama also tend to have an inflated sense of self-importance. They believe that their problems, conflicts, and emotions are more important than anyone else's, and they expect everyone around them to prioritize their needs. This self-centered behavior disrupts the balance in relationships, as everything revolves around their drama. The Stoics taught that we must not place ourselves at the center of the universe, but drama seekers do exactly that, expecting everyone to cater to their disruptions. Another problem with drama seekers is that they prevent personal growth. When you are constantly dealing with their conflicts and disruptions, it leaves little room for you to focus on your own development. The Stoics believed that personal growth comes from reflection, self-awareness, and peace, but drama seekers take that away by creating an environment where you are always reacting to their chaos instead of focusing on your own growth. Drama seekers also have a way of creating emotional exhaustion. Dealing with their constant conflicts, emotional outbursts, and manipulation takes a toll on your mental and emotional health. Over time, this emotional exhaustion can leave you feeling drained, anxious, and unable to focus on your own well-being. The Stoics valued emotional resilience and the ability to maintain inner peace, but drama seekers make that difficult by constantly disrupting your emotional balance. Another trait of drama seekers is their inability to handle peace or calm. Even when things are going well, they find a way to stir up conflict, as they seem uncomfortable with tranquility. This need for constant tension makes it impossible to enjoy peaceful moments, as you are always waiting for the next disruption. The Stoics believed in cultivating peace and contentment, but drama seekers are unable to sit with that calm. They need chaos to feel fulfilled. People who create drama also tend to be highly reactive to criticism. Even the most constructive feedback can trigger an emotional outburst, as they take any suggestion of improvement as a personal attack. This reactivity prevents any opportunity for growth or resolution, as they are more focused on defending themselves than on addressing the issue. The Stoics taught that we should welcome feedback as a tool for growth, but drama seekers are incapable of this, as they view any criticism as a threat to their control over the situation. Another problem with drama seekers is that they often turn minor inconveniences into major crises. Whether it's a scheduling conflict, a small disagreement, or a trivial mistake, they find a way to escalate the situation into something much larger than it needs to be. This constant crisis mode creates a stressful environment where peace is impossible. The Stoics believed in keeping things in perspective and not allowing small problems to disrupt your inner calm, but drama seekers thrive on making mountains out of molehills. Drama seekers also have a tendency to involve others in their conflicts. They pull friends, family, or colleagues into their disputes, creating a web of tension that affects everyone involved. This behavior drags innocent bystanders into the chaos, making it difficult for anyone to maintain a sense of peace. The Stoics taught that we should resolve conflicts privately and with dignity, but drama seekers make that impossible by involving as many people as possible in their disruptions. Another sign of people who thrive on drama is their inability to accept responsibility for their emotions. They often blame others for how they feel, turning their emotional state into someone else's problem. This behavior creates a dynamic where you are constantly trying to manage their emotions, even though they are responsible for their own feelings. The Stoics taught that we must take responsibility for our own emotions and not allow others to control how we feel. But drama seekers refuse to take that responsibility, making their emotions everyone else's problem. Drama seekers also tend to have a way of making you feel like you're walking on eggshells. Their unpredictable behavior and emotional volatility create an environment where you are constantly trying to avoid triggering the next conflict. This constant state of vigilance is exhausting, as you never know what might set them off. The Stoics believed that we should not live in fear of others' reactions, but drama seekers create a dynamic where fear and anxiety are constant companions. Another problem with drama seekers is that they often lack empathy. They are so focused on their own conflicts and emotions that they have little regard for how their behavior affects others. This lack of empathy makes it difficult to build meaningful relationships, as they are incapable of considering anyone else's feelings or needs. The Stoics valued empathy and the ability to understand others, but drama seekers are too consumed by their own drama to offer that kind of understanding. People who thrive on drama also tend to have a way of creating a sense of urgency. They make everything seem like a crisis that needs to be dealt with immediately, even when it's not. This manufactured urgency creates a stressful environment where you feel like you're constantly putting out fires. The Stoics taught that we should not be swayed by external pressures and should maintain a sense of calm, but drama seekers make that difficult by turning everything into an emergency. Another trait of drama seekers is their tendency to stir up conflict between others. They may play both sides of a disagreement, feeding information to each party to keep the conflict alive. This behavior creates division and tension, ensuring that the drama continues. The Stoics valued harmony and unity, but drama seekers thrive on division, as it gives them more opportunities to manipulate and control the situation. Drama seekers also have a way of making you question your own reality. Their constant manipulation, exaggeration, and emotional volatility can leave you feeling confused and unsure of what's really happening. This gaslighting behavior creates a sense of instability where you no longer trust your own perceptions. The Stoics taught that we must trust our own judgment and not allow others to distort our reality. But drama seekers make that difficult by constantly shifting the narrative. Another problem with drama seekers is that they create an environment of unpredictability. You never know what to expect from them, as their behavior is constantly changing. This unpredictability makes it difficult to find stability or peace, as you are always waiting for the next disruption. The Stoics believed in creating a stable and peaceful environment, but drama seekers prevent that by ensuring that chaos is always just around the corner. Drama seekers also have a way of making you feel responsible for their happiness. They may manipulate you into believing that it's your job to keep them happy or satisfied, even though their emotional state is their own responsibility. This manipulation creates a dynamic where you are constantly catering to their needs, even at the expense of your own well-being. The Stoics taught that we must take responsibility for our own happiness and not allow others to control our emotions, but drama seekers make that difficult by placing their happiness in your hands. Another problem with drama seekers is that they often escalate conflicts rather than resolve them. Even when a solution is within reach, they find a way to prolong the conflict, ensuring that the drama continues. This behavior prevents any sense of closure or peace, as the conflict is never truly resolved. The Stoics believed in resolving conflicts quickly and with dignity, but drama seekers do the opposite, ensuring that the tension lingers. Drama seekers also have a way of creating dependency. They make you feel like you need them, either by positioning themselves as the only ones who can resolve the conflict, or by creating a dynamic where you are constantly seeking their approval. This dependency is toxic, as it prevents you from maintaining your own sense of independence and peace. The Stoics valued self-sufficiency and the ability to maintain your own peace, but drama seekers take that away by creating a web of dependency. Another problem with drama seekers is that they often lack emotional boundaries. They overshare their conflicts, emotions, and problems with everyone around them, creating an environment where you are constantly bombarded with their drama. This lack of boundaries makes it difficult to maintain your own emotional space, as their problems become your problems. The Stoics taught that we must maintain emotional boundaries and not allow others to overwhelm us with their issues, but drama seekers make that difficult by constantly crossing those boundaries. Drama seekers also have a way of creating tension in otherwise peaceful situations. Even when everything is going well, they find a way to stir up conflict or create drama, ensuring that peace is never fully achieved. This constant disruption prevents any sense of calm or stability, as you are always waiting for the next wave of drama to hit. The Stoics believed in cultivating peace and contentment, but drama seekers are incapable of maintaining that calm. They need chaos to feel fulfilled. Finally, drama seekers prevent you from focusing on what truly matters. Their constant disruptions, conflicts, and emotional volatility take up so much of your time and energy that you have little left for your own well-being or personal growth. The Stoics taught that we must focus on what we can control and let go of what we cannot, but drama seekers make that difficult by constantly pulling you into their chaos. By recognizing the signs of drama seekers and distancing yourself from their disruptive influence, you can protect your peace and create space for more meaningful and fulfilling relationships. As we leave behind the chaotic influence of those who thrive on drama and disruption, we now turn to an even more insidious force that can quietly poison your relationships: envy. While drama seekers create tension through conflict, envious individuals harbor silent resentment, often disguised behind false smiles and empty compliments. Envy can slowly erode the foundations of trust and support in any relationship, as those who harbor it are never truly happy for your success. The Stoics warned against envy, not just for what it does to the envious, but for the harm it causes to those who become its target. In this section, we will uncover the toxic nature of envy and why it's essential to distance yourself from those who resent your achievements. People who are envious rarely show their true feelings directly. Instead, they hide their resentment behind false praise or shallow compliments, masking their true emotions. This passive-aggressive behavior makes it difficult to recognize their envy at first. But over time, their negativity begins to show in small, subtle ways. The Stoics valued authenticity and honesty, believing that relationships should be built on genuine support and mutual respect. But envious individuals undermine this foundation by pretending to celebrate your success while secretly hoping for your failure. Envy often reveals itself through backhanded compliments. Instead of celebrating your achievements, envious people downplay your success, making remarks like, "You're so lucky," or "It must be nice to have everything handed to you." These comments are designed to diminish your hard work and make it seem as though your success is the result of luck or privilege rather than effort. The Stoics taught that success comes from discipline, hard work, and inner virtue, but envious people refuse to acknowledge these qualities as it threatens their own sense of inadequacy. Another sign of envy is when people seem unable to be happy for you when you achieve something significant. Rather than offering genuine congratulations, they may offer a forced smile or a half-hearted comment, clearly uncomfortable with your success. This lack of support is a clear indication that they are not truly invested in your happiness. The Stoics believed that true friendship and relationships are built on mutual joy and celebration of each other's successes. But envious people cannot offer this kind of support because they see your success as a reflection of their own shortcomings. People who are envious also tend to compare themselves to you constantly. They measure their own achievements against yours, often feeling inferior as a result. This constant comparison breeds resentment as they begin to see your success as something that takes away from their own worth. The Stoics warned against comparison, teaching that we should focus on our own path and not measure our value by the success of others. But envious individuals are trapped in a cycle of comparison, making it impossible for them to feel content with their own accomplishments. Another way envy manifests is through subtle sabotage. Envious individuals may try to undermine your success by offering bad advice, creating unnecessary obstacles, or subtly discouraging you from pursuing your goals. This sabotage is often disguised as concern or helpfulness, but its true purpose is to hold you back and prevent you from moving forward. The Stoics valued honesty and support in relationships, believing that true friends should lift each other up, not tear each other down. But envious people are incapable of offering genuine support, as they see your success as a threat to their own sense of worth. Envy also leads to gossip and slander. When people are envious of your success, they may spread rumors or talk behind your back, trying to diminish your accomplishments in the eyes of others. This behavior is particularly damaging, as it not only harms your reputation, but also creates a toxic environment where trust is eroded. The Stoics believed that we should speak well of others and focus on our own actions rather than tearing others down. But envious individuals do the opposite, using gossip as a tool to vent their resentment. Another sign of envy is when people constantly find ways to criticize your achievements. No matter how hard you've worked or how much you've accomplished, they always seem to find something negative to say. This constant criticism is a reflection of their own insecurities, as they cannot stand the thought of someone else succeeding where they feel they have failed. The Stoics taught that we should focus on our own growth and not be swayed by the opinions of others, but the constant criticism from envious people can wear you down over time, making it difficult to stay focused on your path. Envious people also tend to downplay their own envy, often claiming that they are just being honest or trying to help when they offer criticism or backhanded compliments. This denial of their true feelings makes it difficult to address the issue directly, as they refuse to admit that their negativity stems from envy. The Stoics believed in the importance of self-awareness and honesty, but envious people lack both, as they are unwilling to confront their own feelings of inadequacy. One of the most toxic aspects of envy is how it can slowly erode your confidence. When you are constantly surrounded by people who are envious of your success, their negativity can begin to seep into your own thoughts, making you question whether you truly deserve your achievements. This erosion of confidence can prevent you from pursuing further success, as you start to internalize the negativity of those around you. The Stoics taught that confidence comes from within and should not be dependent on the opinions of others, but the subtle influence of envy can make it difficult to maintain that inner strength. Envious people also have a way of turning your success into a competition. Instead of celebrating your achievements, they feel the need to compete with you, constantly trying to outdo you or prove that they are just as successful. This competitive dynamic creates tension in relationships, as everything becomes about who is doing better, rather than about mutual support and growth. The Stoics believed that life is not a competition, and that we should focus on our own journey rather than comparing ourselves to others. But envious people are trapped in a cycle of competition, making it impossible to build healthy, supportive relationships. Another problem with envy is that it often leads to resentment. When people are envious of your success, they begin to resent you for what you have achieved, even if you have done nothing to harm them. This resentment can create a toxic atmosphere where you feel like you are constantly walking on eggshells, trying to avoid triggering their envy. The Stoics taught that resentment is a destructive emotion that harms both the person who feels it and the person it is directed toward. But envious people hold on to their resentment, allowing it to fester and grow over time. Envy also has a way of creating distance in relationships. When people are envious of your success, they may start to withdraw from you, either because they can't bear to see you succeed, or because they feel inadequate in comparison. This withdrawal can create a sense of isolation, as you begin to feel like your achievements have pushed people away rather than brought them closer. The Stoics believed in the importance of connection and community, but envy drives a wedge between people, making it difficult to maintain close, supportive relationships. Another sign of envy is when people try to undermine your confidence by questioning your abilities or doubting your success. They may make comments like, "Are you sure you can handle that?" or "Do you really think you're ready for that?" These doubts are designed to make you second-guess yourself and feel insecure about your achievements. The Stoics taught that confidence comes from knowing your own abilities and trusting in your own judgment, but envious people try to shake that confidence by planting seeds of doubt. Envious people also tend to hold on to grudges. If they feel that you have achieved something they wanted, they may carry that resentment with them for a long time, even if the situation has long since passed. This inability to let go of envy creates a toxic dynamic where old wounds are constantly being reopened, preventing any sense of closure or peace. The Stoics taught that we should let go of past grievances and focus on the present, but envious people are trapped in a cycle of holding on to their resentment, unable to move forward. Another problem with envy is that it often leads to feelings of inadequacy. When people compare themselves to your success, they may start to feel like they are not good enough or that they will never measure up. This sense of inadequacy fuels their envy, creating a cycle of resentment and self-doubt. The Stoics taught that we should not measure our worth by the success of others, but envious people are constantly comparing themselves, making it difficult for them to feel content with their own achievements. Envious people also tend to have a negative outlook on life. Instead of celebrating the successes of others, they focus on what they lack and what others have that they don't. This negative mindset creates a toxic environment where positivity and joy are overshadowed by bitterness and resentment. The Stoics believed in cultivating a positive mindset, focusing on gratitude for what we have rather than dwelling on what we lack. But envious people are trapped in a cycle of negativity, unable to appreciate the good things in their own lives because they are too focused on what others have. Another way envy reveals itself is through passive-aggressive behavior. Envious people may make subtle digs or sarcastic remarks, designed to undermine your success without directly confronting their envy. This passive-aggressive behavior creates tension in relationships, as you are constantly dealing with their veiled hostility without being able to address the issue directly. The Stoics taught that we should communicate openly and honestly, but envious people avoid direct confrontation, choosing instead to express their resentment through passive aggression. Envious people also tend to be highly competitive, even when there is no need for competition. They see your success as a threat to their own sense of worth, and as a result, they feel the need to constantly prove themselves or outdo you. This competitive mindset creates a toxic dynamic where everything becomes about winning or losing, rather than about mutual support and growth. The Stoics believed that life is not a competition and that we should focus on our own journey rather than comparing ourselves to others. But envious people are trapped in a cycle of competition, making it impossible to build healthy, supportive relationships. Envy also has a way of making people feel entitled to your success. They may feel that they deserve what you have achieved, even if they haven't put in the same effort or made the same sacrifices. This sense of entitlement creates a toxic dynamic where they feel wronged by your success, as if you have taken something away from them. The Stoics taught that success is the result of discipline, hard work, and inner virtue, and that we should not expect rewards without effort. But envious people feel entitled to what they haven't earned, making it difficult for them to be happy for others. Another problem with envy is that it often leads to bitterness. When people are envious of your success, they may start to feel bitter about their own lives, focusing on what they don't have rather than what they do. This bitterness can create a toxic atmosphere where joy and positivity are overshadowed by resentment and negativity. The Stoics believed in cultivating gratitude for what we have and not allowing envy to poison our minds. But envious people are trapped in a cycle of bitterness, unable to find contentment in their own lives. Envious people also have a way of making you feel guilty for your success. They may make comments like, "It must be nice to have everything go your way," or "Some people have all the luck," designed to make you feel bad for what you have achieved. This guilt-tripping creates a toxic dynamic where you feel like you have to downplay your success in order to avoid triggering their envy. The Stoics taught that we should not feel guilty for our achievements, but envious people make it difficult to celebrate your success without feeling like you're rubbing it in their faces. Another sign of envy is when people try to sabotage your success. They may offer bad advice, create unnecessary obstacles, or subtly discourage you from pursuing your goals. This sabotage is often disguised as concern or helpfulness, but its true purpose is to hold you back and prevent you from moving forward. The Stoics valued honesty and support in relationships, believing that true friends should lift each other up, not tear each other down. But envious people are incapable of offering genuine support, as they see your success as a threat to their own sense of worth. Envious people also tend to have a way of making you feel like you're in constant competition with them. Instead of celebrating your achievements, they feel the need to outdo you or prove that they are just as successful. This competitive dynamic creates tension in relationships, as everything becomes about who is doing better rather than about mutual support and growth. The Stoics believed that life is not a competition and that we should focus on our own journey rather than comparing ourselves to others. But envious people are trapped in a cycle of competition, making it impossible to build healthy, supportive relationships. Envy also has a way of creating division. When people are envious of your success, they may try to turn others against you, either through gossip or by highlighting your flaws in an attempt to diminish your achievements. This behavior creates a toxic environment where trust is eroded and relationships are strained. The Stoics warned against gossip, teaching that we should focus on our own behavior rather than meddling in the affairs of others. But envious individuals thrive on creating division, as it allows them to manipulate situations and create even more disruption. Another problem with envy is that it can lead to isolation. When people are envious of your success, they may start to distance themselves from you, either because they can't bear to see you succeed or because they feel inadequate in comparison. This withdrawal can create a sense of isolation as you begin to feel like your achievements have pushed people away rather than brought them closer. The Stoics believed in the importance of connection and community, but envy drives a wedge between people, making it difficult to maintain close, supportive relationships. Finally, envy is one of the most toxic emotions because it prevents genuine connection. When people are envious of you, they cannot offer true support or friendship, as their resentment clouds their ability to be happy for you. This lack of genuine connection creates a toxic dynamic where trust, support, and mutual growth are impossible. The Stoics taught that we must cultivate relationships based on honesty, support, and mutual respect, but envy makes that impossible. By recognizing the signs of envy and distancing yourself from those who harbor it, you can protect your peace and create space for relationships built on genuine connection and mutual support. As we've uncovered the toxic traits that Stoicism teaches us to avoid, whether it's dishonesty, manipulation, or envy, one truth becomes clear. Protecting your peace and well-being is an active choice. By recognizing these harmful behaviors early, you not only save yourself from unnecessary pain, but you also create space for healthier, more uplifting relationships in your life. Stoicism reminds us that we are in control of who we allow into our inner circle, and distancing yourself from destructive people is essential for living a life rooted in tranquility and virtue. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to cut someone off who showed these traits? Leave a comment below with your thoughts or experiences. Your stories can help others recognize what to look out for. And if you found value in this video, make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss out on future content that will help you grow, learn, and live a better life. Until next time, stay strong, stay wise, and protect your peace.